Okay. Good evening, everyone. Hello, friends. Okay, let me check. We have some friends here in the chat. We have a hello from Bob Hunt. Hello, Bob Hunt. Martha's here. Hello, Martha. All right. Hello, everyone. So, welcome to the first ever episode of the Teacup for One interview series. And I say first ever, implying that there are going to be more, but there probably aren't. I mean, I don't have any other guests lined up, but it's my first time interviewing someone. And if I do like another one of these, then it's a series. So there we go. So we are just waiting on our special guest, Chris Bond. He should be joining us in about 5-ish minutes or so. But anyone who's just tuning in, welcome. So if you are new to the channel, my name is Matt. I have 2 degrees, and this is Teacup for One. And this is a channel where we pretty much, by we, I mean me, do all sorts of things that I just have a personal interest in. Usually it's Disney, sometimes it's Shakespeare, sometimes it's film, sometimes it's cats, sometimes it's musicals. And in the honor of the Halloween season, which is now pretty much, I wanted to do something extra special. At this time last year, I was doing this YouTuber thing called Vlogtober, where I was putting out a video every single day inspired by different Halloween films. And that was so much fun, but also ridiculously stressful. And I promised myself I would never do that again. But one of the highlights of Vlogtober from last year, whoop, hold up. There we go. Just a second. Be right back. Yeah, so one of the highlights from Vlogtober for last year was, quick technical difficulties, was that I did an entire evening that was dedicated to the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which was so much fun. So I had a bunch of guests on board who, there we go. So I had a bunch of different guests joining me for the show last year for the Rocky Horror Picture Show, who had various experiences with that movie and with that production. We had some people who had done a shadow cast thing. We had some people who had been in the show, like the live stage production. And this is really the time of year when like cult classics are everywhere. And for this year, I wanted to do something similar with one of my other favorite Halloween time musicals, which is, of course, Evil Dead, the musical. Now, I just want to get a quick show of hands from those in the audience, all 4 of you. Has anyone here watching tonight seen, been in, or have any kind of experience with Evil Dead the musical? Do we have any other Evil Dead fans with us tonight? Let me know in the comments. Here we go. Oh, hold on. It is cool and interesting. William, you're an unknown cook, but I know one thing. You have good taste. So for anyone who's unaware and doesn't really know Evil Dead the musical all that well, pretty much, okay, well, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself for when our guest joins us, but pretty much Evil Dead the musical started out as this small independent production in Toronto, Ontario, and then it exploded. They pretty well just took this cult classic that was already established and already had this incredible fan base. They added music to it, they added humor, and they added copious amounts of stage blood. And that's an unknown recipe for a hit. So there we go. And years later, I don't know how many years this show has been running, but at least like 10 to 15. All these years later, like there have been productions all over the entire world. There's a production that's been running in Las Vegas for a long time. It's one of the longest running Canadian productions to be in Toronto. Like if you're a fan of musicals, or rather, I'm going to phrase this like I'm reviewing Disney food. If you like musicals, and if you like horror movies, and if you like blood, and if you like things that are evil and dead, you will like the Evil Dead musical. And with that, I'm going to bring in our very special guest for the evening. Everyone, put your hands together, now that I can hear you, for our very special guest. It's Bondo Chris Bond.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, everyone, it's Christopher Bond. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah. What's happening? What's happening? I was putting my kids down. Thought we were starting a little bit later, but here we are. I like musicals that are bloody and dead and all those things we were talking about. Yeah.
Obviously. Hooray. First off, I'm sorry I told you it was 9:30.
Did you? You checked and you said 9:30?
Well, I in our correspondence, I said, how about like maybe 9 or 9:30? So at
Okay.
some point, like I did say the numbers. I did say the numbers.
Okay. You know what? The thing you did send me the other day, though, it says, "Oh, we'll probably sign in around 8:50," and I was like, "Oh yeah." Yeah, I had it in my daytimer at 9:30. So I was in bed with my kids, literally like in bed, both my two kids, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up, man? Sleep out, right?" No, right now, not right now. Oh, wait. My one
Well,
kid's still awake. So, where are you going, Daddy? I'm like, I'll be back. Just close your eyes.
no, again, in my head, I was like, I hope he's not dead. And then I call you. Then you're whispering. I'm like, oh no, someone's dead.
No.
No, but you're not. Amazing. So yeah, welcome. This is like, so we didn't have a chance to like just totally debrief beforehand, but this is great because this is just like, here we go. This is it.
Why debrief?
Exactly. Why do that?
Let's just brief.
Let's just dive right in.
Yeah,
all right. So first, for anyone who doesn't know you, who are you? Who are you? Who's Chris Bond? Tell us what you do, what you're up to, and maybe tell us about your podcast, because that's weirdly enough what brought us together. We both love Disney, but we're not talking about Disney.
I know, it's weird chatting with you and we're not talking about princesses, or Muppets, or Marvel superheroes, or whatever it is. I met Matt many moons ago because Matt's a great talented performer, and he was auditioning in the Toronto area, and I was a director that was casting in the Toronto area, and so Matt came out and auditioned for me a few times, and talented fella. Well, it was hard to say no,
but you did say no.
I did. I know. Yeah. It's hard, the actor's got to fit the project. Not every project a fair,
You're the only person I've sung I enjoy being a cat for that gave me a callback, and that means so much to me.
You're welcome. You know what I'm saying? Merry Christmas. I do pretty irreverent stuff sometimes, and you're such a sweet guy. It's tricky. Grunge it up, man. Grunge it up. You're like, sure. You're like the brightest, warmest guy. And it's like, okay, good. Really deep, really dig down deep there. Anyway, so that's how I met Matt, and Evil Dead the musical was literally the first thing I did after I graduated university. Me and some friends had wanted to do a stage show. Really, it all started, if we want to just jump right into Evil Dead, was I was in a production of the Rocky Horror Show. I mean, and that kind of got the ball rolling, and I knew nothing about it. You know how it's got this huge cult underground audience. I was such a baby to it all. I didn't know anything about it. So I was in the show. People were like, man, you wait, this thing's going to be nuts. And people are going to throw stuff at you, and the audience is going to be talking back at you. And I'm going to be like, what are you talking about? That's nuts. So I performed in this show. And at the time I had been talking to my buddy George Reinblatt. I was like, we should write something. We should collaborate on something. Because both of us were young, fresh out of school, needed jobs, nobody wanted to give me a directing job because, I was fresh out of school. So I was like, well, I got to make my own thing, as it is for most young artists, right? They got to get recognized by making the magic themselves. And so we started collaborating, and we're trying to think of what we could do. And doing the Rocky Horror Show, I saw this crazy party, and I was like, hey, we got to do a crazy party. And George and I were pretty keen on doing something that was culty and underground. So we literally just started kind of looking at IPs, what's a cool kind of underground cool thing that everybody knows but nobody knows, that would be super hot, and I had watched Evil Dead 2. And if you're familiar with, have you seen Evil Dead 2?
I literally stopped watching, I stopped playing about 20 minutes before we started. So hilarious. I did my research.
Hilarious. A lot of research done. Yeah. I'll watch it for 10 minutes. Yeah. I think I got it. I think zombies. It's okay. I got it. So Evil Dead 2 was really interesting because it pitted kind of this character against the environment, which felt really theatrical to me. Mm-hmm. It felt like watching Bruce Campbell kind of fight this cabin. I was like, man, that would be amazing on stage. This actor who's engaged against the set, essentially. And I don't think anybody had really done something like that. So that's kind of where it all started. And we started, and when we realized that there was this huge audience for Evil Dead, an Army of Darkness, and you can tell, like, I mean, they keep bringing out new stuff.
Mhm.
It was pretty dead and buried for a while until, we came up with a musical, just saying. But anyway,
So
uh,
is the TV show because you brought it back in the public consciousness?
no,
Well, like,
if you can say it, I can't out loud, but
okay.
listen, man, it was like we were the hot new thing. Like every Evil Dead fan, like the thing was, wow, the musical, and then all of a sudden, the remake came, and then the series, and now more remakes are coming, and so we feel like we have a part to play, and that we're a part of the bigger, Evil Dead kind of canon of stuff, even though. We can look us. We're licensed. We're official. We're the real show, and we were really blessed to have approval and have Bruce Campbell and Sam Rami like sign off and be a part of it. It was really cool. Should I just keep going? Everyone, you want to say anything, or I should just keep talking? I feel like I've done this interview many times.
Oh, I can tell. It's so well rehearsed. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, right? Tell me about Evil Dead. Here we go.
There we go. Wow, that's incredible. Well, I mean, I do have my long list of questions. You've already kind of touched the tip of the iceberg of all of them, but we're going to go deeper. I know. For ice. Wow. No, first I want to know. Wait, I want to ask who you were in Rocky, but I also want to guess.
It's not a hard guess. Go for it.
I was going to say Riff Raff.
Oh wow, thank you, but no.
Were you Eddie and Dr. Scott?
Yeah, exactly. Like
that's who I was, Eddie and Dr. Scott.
Well, were you a little pudgier back then? Because you're pretty svelte now. Usually the chubby guy gets to be Eddie.
No, well, what happened was it was at my dinner theater.
Cool.
And they cast Rocky Horror out of the summer show cast. And so Eddie and Dr. Scott was kind of the role that went to the person who was just left over. That like wasn't an obvious fit vocally or physically for anyone else.
Yeah.
And so they were just like, oh, well, we need to give Matt a role.
Yeah.
Here. And then this was like months after I graduated from acting school. So I was much more pretentious, which says a lot, than I am now. So I like dove deep into it, and I designed my own costume and sourced it. And so for Eddie, I did this whole undead Elvis thing, but it was also mixed with like James Dean. So it was like alternate reality Rebel Without a Cause zombie. So I got like a blue leather jacket. Then for Dr. Scott, I was Dr. Strangelove, essentially, which was so much fun. I was like, I'm just going to throw this on its head. You're hardly giving me any time. I'm going to milk it for all it's worth.
I love it.
I did. Great. Yeah. No, that's so cool. I love meeting other Eddies.
I remember my favorite moment from that, other than just like, there was a lot of makeouts in that show. It was my first like make-outy show. Like I'm making out with everybody on stage. This is different. So I don't know. That was a new experience for me. But the one thing I really remember was we were in this theater. It wasn't a theater. It was a bar that we were doing the show at. And it didn't really have, if I remember, there wasn't a way to there wasn't a wing. So I couldn't wheel in as Dr. Scott. I had to literally I did this bit where I threw my chair up and crawled onto the stage and crawled into the chair.
That's hilarious. Oh my god.
Right? It was ridiculous, but
I love that.
And I'm a big guy. I'm like, nobody's gonna be able to lift me. So they're just like, what? And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna throw. Like, this is what he would do if he was stuck, right? Dr. Scott would just be, 1 moment, please. Oh, Sizer. Do all that stuff. It was fun. It was.
Oh, I'm so sad. I'm so sad I missed that. That would have been genius. Oh my gosh. To see Chris Bond perform in anything, because I really only know you as a hilarious podcaster and genius director and writer, but like as a performer, that would be incredible. So yeah.
Oh, well, thank you.
My pleasure. Who would you want to play in your own musical in Evil Dead? This is just like a side question. It's not meant to be a deep one.
Great question. It's tough. It's a tough call because I'm a husky fella, and Jake is kind of feels like a little secondhand, but I'm definitely, Scott has my heart. Scott was always the character when we built that show, I loved Steve Stifler, and I was like, this guy's got to be Steve Stifler. He's got to be the most likable dirtbag ever. And there's just something so charming about him, and he's such a misogynist, and he's such a jerk. But you want to hang out with him, you want to party with him. Even Ash is best friends with this guy who is clearly not very nice. But you know, he's just the, you know, he's just, you want to party with this guy. He's just so much fun, dirtbag. And so that was always exciting. And the character that I was like, man, I'd love to get up there and sing that jam. But I actually did get a chance to be in the show a couple times, by way of, you know, the show was playing in Toronto. I'm trying to remember. Look, I've directed the show like 12 times. I remember there was one production in Toronto, and there was a couple times where, like, in the early going, when we were like just kind of, we were doing the show in a bar and just kind of getting out, I remember there was like somebody can't do the shows for a couple days, so we had to figure out just a way to do the show, you know, and I might have jumped in and done some little things. But there was one time where like the big show was happening, and we didn't have enough people, so I swung in as the fake Shemp, and there's like a track for the fake Shemp who gets to wear, like, if you know the show, I mean, hopefully some of the people listening or checking this out or watching know the show, but you get to be like the ghost dad and the chainsaw Linda, and, like an evil tree and all these. Cool to get to jump in just for on the day, like, you know, I've taught this thing 100 times, and then I'm like, okay, where do I go again? What do I do? I gotta, oh, right, yeah, I gotta stand right here. Yeah, I know that. And it was super, like, working just with the like the fight direct choreography, because there's so much fight choreography that everything is so precise. So it was really important that we didn't like mess up a lot. So, you know.
Oh, that's amazing. I feel like that's always been my dream when I'm directing shows, to have the chance to just have my 42nd Street moment and jump in and decide, here it is.
Yeah.
I'm rising to the occasion. I know it. Yeah. Yes.
I'm going, put me in, coach.
Exactly. So it's so interesting to me that I for whatever reason, I built up this, I imagined what the backstory was, and I just assumed that you loved Evil Dead and decided to make it a musical, as opposed to approaching it from, I want to create an audience experience that is akin to Rocky Horror, which I love because, like, you succeeded and that's what it is. But then, like, are horror movies a thing that you're into in general, or did you come to it, just like you said, because you were looking for a property that could be musicalized?
I think, yeah, number two, I was just kind of looking. I was never a big horror guy, but I became a horror guy. I mean, once I started getting into Evil Dead, I started, like, you know, getting into more and more horror, and especially when the show took off, I kind of had to be a bit of a horror head. Like, I had to be able to articulate, you know, different, you know, just different works, and you know, because I'm you know, talking to a lot of different, like, medias and podcasts and fans, and they are really well learned and know their stuff. So I had to be able to, like, at least hang with them, you know what I mean?
Right.
But then I fell in love with the stuff, and it's been a big part of my life, and I've done a ton of, you know, like, genre work, whether it's been other shows, stage shows, musical, movies, other things. So it was the first big step, and I was super lucky. But yeah, well, now I love horror movies, but you know what? I hate? I hate haunted houses. I don't like being jump scared. I don't like people touching me. When I watch horror movies, I like it, but I don't. I'm like, oh, you know. So I'm the target audience. Like, I love it, but I'm terrified. So, and I'm a big wuss too. So there's that. I'm like scared.
Oh yeah, no. I'm with you there. So, like, what's your personal favorite type of horror? Because, like, for me, I stayed away from the Evil Dead movies until literally this week to prep for this interview, because I can't do blood, even though, having seen the movies now, I'm kind of okay with that. But, like, the Saw brand blood, the Hostel brand blood, like, that's not a thing that I can do. But I like Nicole Kidman in The Others. Like, I like things that don't show me
thriller,
things.
Right? Would you call that a horror movie, or is that more of a thriller? I like that stuff too. And I'm not into the torture porn stuff. That's never been my bag. But I can appreciate the effects, and I can appreciate the creativity. There's moments in Saw where I'm like, oh, that's really cool, or oh, what a cool idea, wow, that looks really awesome. So there's still a lot of things that I can appreciate from it, but it's not necessarily like my cup of tea with horror. I'll be honest, I love the classics. I love Jason, I love Freddy Krueger, I love, you know, Halloween. And obviously Night of the Living Dead. Like I later got a really amazing opportunity, which I'll never forget. That after the success of Evil Dead, I got an opportunity to build the stage show for Night of the Living Dead, like the official stage show. And George A. Romero himself was the executive producer and collaborated on it. And it was amazing. And we got to work with like the original guys like John and Russ Striner and like the writers of Night of the Living Dead. And like, once you get into horror, you learn that this was the movie that set it all up. Like this was like the pioneer, the godfather of all horror movies. And then you're sitting there talking to the man who made it and be like, ask him these like, oh my God, you must think that. And meanwhile, George Romero was like the nicest, God rest his soul, was the nicest dude. He was just kind of like, he loved to drink. We'd have lots of drinks. And he was like, I was like, wow, what an amazing choice. Like an African-American man, a black man as your lead, like back in the mid-60s, like how courageous of you. And he's like, oh, he was the best guy for the part. He was just really good. I was
That's
like,
amazing.
Yeah. He was amazing. Yeah. You made the right choice. I mean, you think it's a political statement. And he at the front, he's just like, no, man, he's just really great. And we're like, okay, you're a genius. You're the good. Anyway, that was really cool. So yeah, man, I love horror movies, and I'm a bit of a connoisseur now when it comes to horror and like a lot of like genre shows and activations and haunted houses, and I love all that stuff. I'm a big fan, and I'm still very proud of Evil Dead, and it's a show that we still do and we still produce. And we haven't had a tour in a couple of years, but we, again, with COVID, but we're hoping to get back out there real soon. And there's we've been having conversations about the next iteration of the show and what it's going to be. And yeah, man, I'm really blessed for all the Deadites. If you're an Evil Dead fan, you're a Deadite out there who, like, people love this show. It's really incredible when you make something that people are huge underground fans of, and you get that response, that thing that I first saw with Rocky and discovered Evil Dead, that people are just like mental because this movie is so different. Like the Evil Dead, the series of Evil Dead, like the 3 films, they're totally different. Like thematically, they're completely different. Like what horror series or even series of films did it where you had 3 separate genres of movies? Like really? Like, have you got a chance to watch all 3?
No, I haven't made it to Army of Darkness yet, but I was very struck by the tone, like the tonal difference between the first one and the second one. Yeah. I almost didn't watch the second one because the first one annoyed me a lot.
Well, the second one is like the one where it takes a big step. The first movie was like, they obviously it was the 80s, early 80s. They're trying to make effects look really cool. Some of them work, some of them don't, but it's really inventive. And these guys just were like, again, they were a bunch of kids that fresh out of school making a movie, like doing what they could, really doing like cutting edge camera work, like smashing camera through windows and things like that. Like Sam Rami is just real wildly inventive, and like he's like a smash cut genius, creating some of these cinematic techniques that cinematographers have been essentially copied and stolen now. But that first movie, it's your cabin in the woods story, and it works, and it sets the tone, and it's gruesome, and it's like a real horror movie, and you see it, and is it scary, is it not scary? I'll leave that up to you. Depends on how, like, a lot of the effects look a little, like, is it scary in 1984? I bet you it was, but right now you're like, okay, kind of looks like, I don't know, pea soup, I don't know. But then the second movie comes up, Evil Dead 2, and this is where they decide to reinvent the wheel. And Sam Raimi goes, we're not going to dump buckets of blood. We're going to do, instead of buckets, it's going to be a tidal wave of blood, and the blood's green. Like, let's just go crazy. And then he created, and then all of a sudden this character, Ash, who was playing, and Bruce Campbell was playing things very real, very like earnest, and that's what makes everything work, was given this kind of a bit of swagger and a kind of a Three Stooges playfulness, but at the same time kept it real and kept it earnest. And all of a sudden now this was like a horror slapsticky comedy that nobody had ever seen before. Like Sam Raimi pioneered a genre. Like where were horror comedies before? Like where it kind of towed a line. Nobody had done that. And then the third movie takes another step and it becomes like an action epic adventure. And now Ash is like Roger Moore, James Bond. He's just got so much swagger, dropping lines, like so Hollywood. Amazing. Like 3 different movies. And then when you fast forward to the series, it takes another step and gets even more irreverent and ridiculous. But still, again, the key to making it work, and it's something that I definitely carried with into the musical, was keeping it real. Like, yeah, your things around you. And the fun of the musical is everything is kitschy, everything looks cheesy, everything is irreverent and silly. But if you play it as real as possible and you heighten those stakes, the payoff is just so incredible. And people are like, well, this isn't just a bunch of guys up there wanking. These are guys that are telling this fun, hilarious story and are keeping true to the films and true to the terror. And so it's really brings the audience in and they buy in. They want you to survive. They know you're going to die, but they get on your side because you feel like this is real terror. There's a song in the show called "It Won't Let Us Leave," which is like the curveball song. We have all these silly songs where we sing Cabin in the Woods and we're like, we're gonna get some cheese and booze, and it's like and then all of a sudden we have this one really somber song that just everyone's like, what's it? We're like, it's the all hope is lost moment where Cheryl is like, we're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Like they look at the bridge is all messed up and they're like, we're all gonna die. And it's not funny and it's not anything, and it's just a moment of like, we're doing this for real, kids. And then it just kind of woke, but it sets up, the dick joke that's about to come. You know what I mean? So that dick joke plays so much better because we set it up with all this earnesty. Anyway, now I've told you all my tricks, my directing tricks.
It's fascinating hearing you articulate all the things that I kind of already knew. But to hear that pretty well, everything that you've said thus far is just like, whoa, all the stuff that I love about the show apparently was a conscious choice. So, I mean, I'm not surprised, but it's cool to hear.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's all on the stage, man. I'm glad you picked up on it because you're a smart fella, though.
I am, right? No, well, I was like reflecting in advance for this interview. I was like, why do I like this show so much? Because it's not something that I would normally think I would like, because again, I don't like blood. I generally don't like scary things, but I like musicals. And beyond musicals, I really like one of the most exciting things for me to watch as an audience member, and even more exciting to like participate in if it's a show that I'm in, which was very much like the kind of stuff that we did at the dinner theater. Well, when the shows were good, is this amazing, like organized chaos. I think comedic organized chaos is one of the most exciting things to watch when it's done well. So like, I think of things like Evil Dead or like Noises Off is another one that I think of where just everything is so carefully choreographed to the second and it feels so spontaneous, but like it's as another one. Oh, and Mary Poppins, weirdly enough, is another show that like the original Broadway production has a lot of moments like that where there's just so much stuff happening, but it's so calculated and it's so satisfying.
Yeah, there's a lot of magic, and if the timing of it is critical, or the magic doesn't feel like magic, right?
Exactly, and it does feel like magic. And I wanted to ask about the magic. No, we'll get to the magic. So kind of jumping off of the things that you've already sort of touched on, one thing that I wanted to ask about now that I've seen the first 2 movies is what was the process like just condensing everything into one cohesive story? But beyond that, I'm more interested in the things that you brought to it or that you created. Like what really stood out to me as the biggest surprise was I went into the first movie expecting to see the characters that I knew from the musical. And for the most part, they just were all they were less fun. They had less personality. They fell into this camp that's very reminiscent of what I feel a lot of those characters were in late 70s, early 80s horror movies, where they're just all very monotonous and cardboard. And and like definitely as the series evolved, I can see where like you had all of the ins for Ash's character, but then how did you develop specifically Cheryl, Scott, and now Linda kind of has a character. Who's the third one?
Linda, Shelley.
Yeah, Cheryl. Those 3. Like those 3 are so distinct to me when I think of the musical, and I feel like a lot of that was inventive on the part of you and the rest of the team. So like, what was that process like?
Well, I mean, the thing that we always had going for us was that you could always lean on tropes, on horror tropes, because that's something that a horror fan or really anybody can walk in and relate to right away. And I mean, if you've seen the movie Cabin in the Woods, I mean, they essentially underline it in that film: the fool, the promiscuous one, the virgin girl, the brainiac, the athlete. So you kind of, even though yes, a lot of those, there was like some of the characters, the secondary characters felt a little bit more vanilla, but we were able to find, you know, things and intonations and things that they did and stood for that really leaned towards a traditional kind of horror trope. And that, so we felt that that gave us license on the stage to really, you know, accentuate and heighten that position, whether it be, okay, so Linda. So Linda's just, in the movie, you get that she's the girlfriend and she's very sweet. And then, but she, you know, when she turns evil, it's really fun. Like the actress who I can't, her name escapes me at the moment. Like her Linda is really like scary. Like it was really great. So we were like, okay, how do we play up the girl next door, the perfect girlfriend, to contrast when she's gonna go batshit crazy in and evil. So, you know, we sang the song, How Did the Perfect Girl, talking about the perfect employee. She's always baking and so kind and generous to everybody, and like offended by anything that's a little bit, you know, taboo, but still is the cool girlfriend. Like, she's just the perfect girlfriend. She can do no wrong. She's sweet, but she can be sexy and flirty. She's always doing the right thing. But then she turns into the evilest, most badass evil zombie. So yeah, you had to kind of, you know, create the black to get to the white. You know what I mean? You had to build that contrast. Same thing with Cheryl. And Cheryl doesn't have a lot of time to do it. So in this show, in the movie, you don't really get that kind of like goofy little sister. But once they were like, well, it's his little sister, his younger sister, I was like, well, let's just go for it. Let's like make her like a nerdy, bothersome, like little sister tag along, play that up. And then she becomes like the most bad jive talking, like killer crazy. And she's got to be the craziest of them all, right? Obviously, Carol, right? She lives in that trap door and she's spitting venom for like the whole movie. It's great. But in our world, the venom is put downs and bad puns and just like they're so terrible, they're painful. That's where the fun lives and lies. But the character that was the most funnest to kind of exploit, which was Ed, because Ed really is just kind of a really weird character in this movie where he just kind of shows up. He's just kind of a dude, like he's literally like arm candy, and he looks kind of heroic, and then he shows up and dies right away. So, you know, we were like, how can we make this guy into something? You got to hand it to George. Like George was like, well, he feels like a bit part demon, like he's just a nobody. And that's kind of where the whole song and the idea came from. Because if you look at the guy in the movie in Evil Dead 2, he looks really like he's handsome, he's tall, he's got like that cleft chin. He looks like a would-be hero, and then he gets jacked as soon as he gets to the cabin. He's dead, right? So we're all like, this guy's just like a nobody, and he barely talks. So, you know, we really played off the guy never gets a word in, and Annie's like running him, like steamrolling him all the time, and he just wants his moment in the sun to be like, I can talk too, I can be heroic, but nope, never happens, never gets his moment until he has his song, Bit Part Demon. So yeah, it was really fun just kind of extrapolating on all those ideas. And to be honest, what was really neat was it all started from trying to figure out how to squish these movies together. Because initially I pitched to George, I'm like, let's do Evil Dead 2, the musical. And I was like, okay, because I loved the idea of the guy versus the cabin. I wanted the join us moment, the house, the puppets, the house coming alive, kind of him versus the environment. But George was like, there's some really great characters in that first movie. We should just like squish these movies together, which was a great idea. And then, so that's how you kind of get that first wave of people. And then that second wave of people is from the second film. Because if you know the film, if you watch Evil Dead 2, they essentially redo the first movie in the first 10 minutes. They're like, hey, remember that first movie you saw? Yeah, forget it. This is what happened. Right. And there's no other characters but Linda. Like, yeah, I went up to the woods with my girlfriend, but things went bad, and I had to, you know, chop off her head. And now we're here. right? But there was so many other great characters that we wanted to integrate. So it was a real, it was really fun to, and it just worked so seamlessly, like bringing all those people together, having the kind of the B story of Annie and Ed en route to the cabin, meeting Jake while all the other kids are getting slaughtered, so it all kind of just worked out and it made a lot of sense. And then at the end, you have this chorus or this army of zombies that can sing and dance and stage combat and bad jokes and all that fun stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It was a good time.
Good time indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will say, having watched, like when I was watching the first movie, I was probably about an hour in when I was thinking, I feel like Evil Dead 2 condensed this whole movie into that one song, into Look Who's Evil Now.
Kind of. Yeah,
which, thank you, because the first movie was long. It's just like, you just keep going. It's like, get to the fun stuff, which was evidently in the second movie. But then that brings me to wanting to ask, like, what was the process like for mapping out what moments became songs? I feel like there were some pretty obvious moments to become songs, like just the first scene in both films of just the car driving. I'm like, clearly, this is like the happy car driving song.
Yeah.
Look Who's Evil Now, pretty obvious. But then there's other moments when I'm like, I would not have thought of this in a million years. Like, all the men in my life keep getting killed by Kandarian demons. Like, where did that come from? So yeah, what was that process like? How did you decide this needs to be a song?
Well, we tried to do, the thing is like, we're building a musical, right? So there's all those musical, you're taking horror tropes and classic music theater tropes and you're squishing them together. We're the first to do that, in my view. So you need that big finale number. You need that big opener. You need that magical romantic duet. You need that. And we wanted to run the gamut. I wanted a soft shoe tap dance number. We wanted a tango. So we were looking to really be broad and fun, right? To have different types of music, things that would really connect well with the moment and continue to tell the story. So, when we saw, we could just have Scott and Ash argue about whether they're going to leave or stay because they just saw zombies, their girlfriend turn into zombies, or they could do a tango, like a really and sing What the F Was That? You know what I mean? Which is probably one of the funnier songs. Like, honestly, the story just lent itself well. It was like, your girlfriend turns into a zombie, you're with your buddy. What's the first thing that's going to come out of your mouth?
Yeah.
It's the name of that song. So, and things like Do the Necronomicon, just how can we kind of create, we wanted like a do the locomotion, like do that dance, what's that hot zombie dance that everyone could do. And the idea is that we, how can we do something it's the big moment in the show where now evil is kind of winning, but how can we make it fun and make it so let's do a kitschy song with lots of pop culture references and it's called Do the Necronomicon. Honestly, man, it wasn't that hard. Like, things just kind of, like, we had a lot of bad ideas and they just kept working. The bad ideas just kind of kept making sense. It's like, I don't know, what if at the end it's a gospel number? Yeah. Okay, yeah, all right, I love gospel. All right. And that ended up being Blew That Bee Away. I don't know if I'm supposed to swear on this. Blew that Beehotch away. It's okay if you say Beehotch, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine.
Well, I mean, we're talking about Evil Dead the musical. I feel like it's fair game to say any words that are in the show.
Thank you. Okay.
That was my rule when we did Rocky Horror last year. When we were talking about that, I was like, if it's said in the show, it's fair game to say on the conversation about the thing.
Fair enough. Yeah. But no, man, it was really fun. We built, like, George and I kind of sat there and said, okay, like, this is the kind of the map of what the journey is. And then, we were both like, I was really heavy about, because I was the music theater guy. I was like, there should be a song here. It should be about this. We a song here, be about this. And George had great ideas, and then we were just jiving, man. Like, we had some great ideas for how the songs would work and how they would kind of continue the story, but how they could be dumb and silly and irreverent. And George wrote some really like cutting and ridiculous lyrics that were great. And George is like the king of pop culture references, like way more than me. And so, like, all that is all George, like, just like totally wanking. And George, to his credit, will every now and then, if you're putting on the show, he'll send you edits with updates. Like, he keeps it current. Here, you need some new pop.
Awesome.
there you go. Here's your new ones. They're hot, fresh off the press. And so it's pretty great. You're like, oh man, Backstreet Boys gets replaced by, like, what's the K-pop group? Anyway, I can't think of their names.
BTS.
Right now. Yeah, here's your new BTS joke. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. So people are like, oh yes, sweet. So the whole thing was more of a labor of love. Like we had such a fun time doing it. And things just it all kind of worked. Once we knew what this thing was going to be, and that we knew that it was going to be irreverent and silly and really like cutting, like let's be something that there's no show like this. Like we can swear, but pointed swearing. We can be gross, we can be irreverent, we can be offensive, but it's all done with a smile on our face, which makes it charming and not egregious, and people don't storm out of the theater and go, I want my money back. They're like, oh, these guys are ridiculous. They're kidding, but we play it so earnestly. Are we kidding? You know what I mean? It's a lot of fun. So, and we were really fortunate when we started to do this, the process even in the sense that, we made the show in 2002, I feel like was the year we were writing this show.
It's that old?
Yeah, it's that old.
Wow.
Yeah, we had just gotten out of school. We graduated like 2000, just out of school. And really, like, if I can give a plug to my, my alma mater, Queen's University, where really the whole crew, almost all the actors and all the crew and designers, like a lot of them came out of that school. Who, we all, everyone graduates from Queens, moves to Toronto and goes, okay, I want to work in theater now. How do I do it? And literally, because of a lot of the people that we had collaborated with at school and things, we were able to build a team. And people, like, again, we give them the elevator pitch of the show and they were right on board. And it was 2002. So the whole idea of people turning movies or horror movies, especially, into musicals wasn't a common everyday thing like it is now. Like getting the rights to these things wasn't like it is now. Like if you want the rights to do a musical of a film, some studios got it. Some studio has already licensed it to somebody else or sold it or wants X amount of dollars. It's in their forethoughts. You know what I mean? Back then, they're like, really? You want to make this into a musical? Okay, yeah, go ahead. Like that's literally, it was like an email. Yeah, like George emailed Bruce Campbell directly. George, I mean, this is also the beginning of the web, right? This is like the web is kind of a bit new. So Bruce Campbell had a website. It was like, here's emailing me here for fans, emailing me here for work. Like this is like, I mean, Bruce hadn't had this renaissance yet where he was in demand. I think this was a bit of a slower time. But Sam Rami was blowing up because he was doing all the Spider-Man movies, right? He's just like really blowing up. So we emailed Bruce Campbell and we were like, hey, we're a bunch of kids from Canada. We want to do a proper adaptation, a musical of Evil Dead. We've got some songs already written and some, scenes. Can we do this? Would you guys be willing to let us do this? And really, Bruce Campbell was the guy that off the hop was like, look, I don't have the authority to tell you, but here's who you want to speak to. Like he got the ball rolling.
Wow.
He got in touch with the studios and the studios were like, yeah. And because of Bruce and Sam, who had quite frankly done the kind of same thing that we had many years ago in the 80s when they were kids, fresh out of school, and fresh out of film school, and they were like, we want to make a movie, and you just kind of go do it, and you're a bunch of kids and you don't have a lot of money, and you're just doing it on like pure grit and hard work and the sweat of your back. Is it back sweat? I don't know what I'm talking about.
It's always back sweat.
I mean, it's just hustle and passion, right? And I think that really connected with them. They were like, hey, these kids remind us a lot of ourselves trying to make Evil Dead out in the woods in Tennessee. So yeah, go ahead. You want to do your play? Whatever. Okay, great. We have the rights. But good luck getting the rights to anything now. You have to, what you have to have? Money. You have to have official backing to get things now like that. You have to have somebody going, look, I want to do this. And by the way, these guys are going to pay for it because everybody wants that big slice of money right off the hop. That just wasn't the deal in 2002. So we were really lucky. We were really fortunate. They said yes. And then if you know the story of our history, which I'm not sure if you do, our first show, the very first performance ever of Evil Dead, was on the eve of the Eastern Seaboard blackout. And we were, if you remember that, that was our first ever show, was the night of the Eastern Seaboard blackout. So at the time I was working at Second City, and I was driving down to go to work. And I was in a show called Tony and Tina's Wedding. It's like a big fake Italian wedding. Again, this was actor Bondo.
Oh, you were in Tony and Tina's Wedding? That's amazing.
Like 2 years. Yeah. A big Italian guy. What do you know? So I was doing that, and I had to, truthfully, I had to work the night my show was opening, my kind of directorial debut in Toronto. I still had to work at Second City. So I was like, good luck, everybody. I won't be, I'll see you after. So I was driving down. I just wanted to pop by the theater and make sure everything was cool before it started, before I had to work. And I left my house. And as I left my house, the power went out. And I didn't think about it. I was like, oh, that's weird. Okay, bye. And I walked out the door. I drove. And then I don't know if you remember what that was like, driving around in Toronto.
Oh, I remember. It was terrible.
It was incredible. People at stoplights, like directing traffic, and like it was bonkers. I remember driving down this one highway. It's called the Allen Road in Toronto, and it has a subway that goes up and down the middle of it, and people walking along the subway tracks because the subways were down. I was like, what is going on? And I didn't have my radio on. I was just listening to tunes, I was listening to show tunes, singing show tunes in my car. This is the moment. I was having a great time. Yeah, Jekyll and Hyde. And then I got it. Yeah, great. And then so I fight my way to the theater, and I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, you haven't heard? Like, the power's out everywhere, man. Like everywhere the power's out. I'm like, well, what about our show? And so I'm there with the producer, and he's like, I don't know what we're gonna do, man. Like, we can't do it in here. And I was like, well, can we do it outside? And he's like, what? And I'm like, let's do it outside. Like, can we do it outside? He's like, I don't know if anyone's gonna come. I don't know if all the actors are going to show up. And I was like, well, if they do, could we just do it outside? And there was like a little patch of grass in front of this bar. And they were like, yeah. So we pulled down pieces of the set and brought all the props and costumes and set up the show. And so instead of having like this, we were in this little theater called the Tranzac Club. It has about 120 seats. So instead of having like 120, 130 people, and people, if you remember the Eastern Seaboard blackout, everyone was blacked out. Everyone was just walking around.
Right.
Because, they didn't want to be in their house in the dark. So people took to the streets and were walking around. So instead of having like 100 and something people watch a show, we had like 600-700 people watching on the street, downtown Toronto in the annex. Right. And we're like, whoa, we didn't have lights. So I had my Jeep up on the curb. Oh, by the way, I drove down to work, and they're like, everyone's drinking on the patio, like, show's canceled. I'm like, geez. Got back up there, popped my Jeep onto the curb, and I used my headlights as lights. And people had like big light bulbs, and we had like a guy with a light in a tree, like almost like a spotlight. Like, it was so guerrilla theater, but it was such a magical first show. And the band played like, unplugged. It just like, the sound guy ended up like playing guitar. Like, I don't even know how he did the show, but he was like, yeah, I can jump in. And I'm like, it. Oh my God. It was crazy. And the actors actually showed up, and we did the show. And some people did, like, I remember George, a couple people didn't even come. They're like, I didn't know what was happening. We're like, we're doing it right now, man. Get down here. It's crazy. And because of that, it actually got a lot of notoriety off the hop, because a lot of like the Star and like a bunch of other like local media were like, this incredible thing happened in the middle of all this craziness. This musical happened outside, and it was a party on the street. And so we got all this like coverage that you couldn't buy. So all of a sudden everyone knew about our show, and that was the biggest like blessing ever. So it went from like a really like, flyers and emails and, hey, please come see this musical, and people going, okay, to like the city knowing about it and people pounding on the door to come see it. And it, it was also pretty good. There was that too. So you were coming to this bar to see this thing, and it ended up being like, wow, that's a really good show. Actually, that doesn't suck. So even I remember a moment where we were in tech, and I was sitting beside the producer, and he was like, Chris, I got to say, you guys made a really good show. Like this, I didn't think this was going to be any good. This is pretty good. And I'm like, thanks. Thanks, I guess. Anyway, yeah. So what a amazing, like, fortunate moment that we were able to have there right at the beginning. And that we ended up having this very short, we were only going to play for 2 weeks, but it was sold out. You couldn't get in. We were turning people away. So, we went hat in hand back to like Sam and Bruce and we're in the studio. And we're like, hey guys, Eastern Seaboard Blackout kind of like screwed us. Can we just run it again? They're like, yeah, knock yourself out. We're like, oh, okay. And we brought the show back with everybody like a month later. Like, I think we did it in the summer and then we came back for Halloween. And it was a huge hit. And that's, that got with the ball rolling. That led to like Just for Laughs and other producers wanting to get involved. And then when Just for Laughs happened, then things really blew up and the Broadway stuff. And yeah, it was a bird with that Blackout.
That's like, those are almost the perfect circumstances to premiere your show, to kind of live in, not in a mini apocalypse, but kind of.
Yeah. Call it. Yeah. I don't know, man. It was lightning in a bottle. We were very fortunate. But at the end of the day, the show was good. Because people are going in there for like a dancing zombie show and they're like, I don't know. And then they're like, whoa. And the other thing was the Evil Dead fans. I mean, listen, I know, Matt, you're passionate about Disney princesses, right?
Oh yeah, I love them.
Disney princess flick came out and it didn't meet the standard. Wouldn't you be like, oh my, how dare you? You'd be offended.
Oh no, like when I went to see Enchanted, if that wasn't good, I was gonna riot.
Right? Of course. So similarly, especially when you're a fan of like an underground kind of thing, very niche, you're super protective of this. So we knew the fans were gonna we have to be true to this movie, give the fans what they want to see. And the fans came out and they were like, oh my God, this is so good. This is exactly what I wanted to see. You did it. How did you do? Oh my God. Yes. Like, I think we're okay. I think we're okay. The nerds like it. We're golden. And regular people who buy tickets to theater like it. What have we done? And then, so I think that was the magic formula, was people were looking at the show like, wow, this is like a show that dudes want to watch. Like, they're just not, that doesn't exist. Like, let's be frank, who buys a lot of theater tickets? Females. Like, here's the musical where a wife can actually bring her husband and the husband won't be like, yeah, whatever, honey. Yeah, okay. because the show is for everybody. Women love it, men love it. Like, everybody, maybe young kids should chill out a little bit, and then obviously the next big step for us was the splatter zone, creating the splatter zone.
Yeah, tell us about the splatter zone. Tell us about the blood.
That kind of happened organically. The first show we had a little bit of blood, but it was we had a few tables at the front. It was just like, be careful, you might get some blood on you. But we weren't like, we're gonna like hose down the audience. And then when we got to Montreal, we were like, okay, let's get the audience wet here. Let's get them. And we had like this, let's create like an area where we're gonna get you wet. And we thought people wouldn't want to sit there, but then we realized people want to sit there. They're like, I can get blood on me. I want to sit there. And so at first we had that. It was like our cheapest ticket. Oh, you want to sit in the first couple rows? $10, $20, whatever. And then we were like, whoa, it was packed every night. Pack. Everyone's like, no, I want splatter zone. Well, I'll come back on a Tuesday. Okay, man. We'll see you then. We realized quickly that this was going to be very popular. So as the show continued to progress, the first of all, like at the beginning, all we had was squirt guns, right? We're just firing squirt guns into the audience, really. Squirt guns through holes in the set, like, and then later it became like pressure pneumatics and like really like high-tech stuff, like operated from a board, but at the beginning it was just dudes with squirt guns hosing down the audience. And people went nuts. And so yeah, every time we've done the show, we've either made the splatter zone bigger, made the effects bigger, in so much where we created in later iterations something we called the blood curtain, where we just make it rain blood from the ceiling. Like, I
was going to ask if that was a thing, because I had a weird memory in my head of someone saying that blood came from the sky. So that was a thing. Okay, I didn't dream it. Good.
Yeah, that was something because that's what was happening later on as the size of the splatter zone grew. People were saying, well, I only got a little splatter, paid $100, and look, I got like barely a stain. This sucks, right? we hate for this. They saw this great show, but they paid a premium ticket and they only got a little bit. So we're like, well, how do we get everybody? We rain blood on them. That's just what we do. So we created the blood curtain. And then even at the end of the show, if the brain curtain, if the blood curtain does its thing, but maybe a couple people didn't get hosed, we would have actors come out during the curtain call and just bring out squirt guns. Like, you're 100% guaranteed you're going to get bloodied because you paid for it, and we're going to deliver. If we're going to kill ourselves, even in the freaking bows, I'm going to come out there with a gun and shoot you with it, get you wet. There you go. So that was just something that kind of grew, but it was really fun again to kind of continue to whip up cool effects, and we got to work with some great effects people and learn about air pressure, pneumatic blood systems and things. I remember we worked with the guy who did, is it Bloody Andrew Jackson?
Yeah.
On Broadway, and I went and saw the show, and then he worked on the off-Broadway show, and it was like, wow, that's pretty incredible stuff he could do. Like, blood he could be like, where do you want to hit? What seat do you want to hit? I'll hit that seat. Bloop. It was like target practice. It was so incredible.
That's amazing.
So yeah, but the magic is that the show still looked cheap and corny. Mm-hmm. We had pretty expensive gear back there.
No, I don't doubt it. I recently, like, through questionably legal or illegal methods, found the off-Broadway production and rewatched that. Yeah. Like, it might be somewhere on the platform that this is streaming on right now. I don't know for how long, but like, it's there. Yeah. But you can tell, like, yeah, the level of tech is incredible, and it sneaks up on you. I think that's why it's so effective, because at first glance you just think that it looks like a very like a fringe set with money, I would almost say.
Yeah.
And then it just comes to life in ways that you don't expect. So yeah, like, what was the magic like? You mentioned that there was magic, and like, there is literal magic, but how did that evolve? How did that come into being for all the effects and bringing the set to life? Was that from the beginning? Or
like at the beginning it was very, a good friend of ours who unfortunately passed away years back, Matt Olmstead. It was a big cog in this Evil Dead wheel when we were starting out. Matt was a friend of ours who was an actor and a singer, but he was also like a scientist, and he was an engineer, and he was like a builder. He could just make stuff. So Matt is in the show. He played Scott. He builds sets, and then he was building all this puppets and like rigging and puppets all over the cabin. And he just was like, okay, yeah, what do you want, Bondo? And I'm like, okay, well, I need a moose, and I need I need one of these and one of those, and a clock and this, like all the kind of iconic things from the Evil Dead 2. And he would just build them and make them and animate them somehow. And again, this was all done with like no money, and then it was hilarious because you go from no money doing it, at the Just for Laughs festival very inexpensively, and then you go off Broadway and you're meeting, I'm working with like Dave Gallo, who's won like 2 or 3 Tonys, and just the Drowsy Chaperone, and he's kind of incredible dude. And he's like, the design works. What you have now is amazing. It works. I'm just gonna make it like, we're gonna make it a little this and that. But it was incredible. Like, and he got Dave Gallo, man. That guy got it. He was here's this Broadway guy who was like, I heard Evil Dead the musical, and I said yes before they said anything, because it's Evil Dead. I'm a huge Deadite, and we're like, now like Deadites are somehow Broadway Tony Award winners. This is crazy, and you want to work on my like dick and fart blood joke show? You know what I mean? Like, it's incredible. But like the thing that was kind of neat when we did it in a bar, and it was definitely, it was a little bit more kitschy, and things weren't as polished. I think we were all growing. We were all young artists. And then we get to New York, and all of a sudden, like, we're like, okay, we're going to do real choreo here, like legit choreo. We're working with Hinton Battle, who's won a couple of Tonys. And he got them dancing. We're working with Broadway performers. We're doing stage combat with like, what's his name? Barry, W.H. Barry. I'm forgetting. B.H. Barry. That's it. Who's like a famous Broadway, like, stage combat guy. And so the fights are getting like we didn't have real fights, and then we added fights, like real, like just physical moments that sold the action and sold the gore. But the whole thing was we were going to add all these elements and we were going to add cool effects, but what needed to remain was that kind of that cheesy kind of corny, $5 gags, because that's what made the show magical, right? Is that you set this bar of an expectation and people go, oh, okay, I think I know what this is, and then you blow way over it and they go, oh my god, this is oh my god, I did not expect any of this, right? So if everything looked way too cool, then they would have been like, oh, okay, well that's it. But expectations are lowered and then people are they're like, wow, that was incredible. So it was a really cool step to go from like doing it in a like a little cabaret in Montreal at it was still pretty great at the comedy festival, to go out and off Broadway at the New World stages and working with really talented Broadway technicians and performers, and we had celebrities showing up every night. It was really cool. It was weird. But yeah, man, it was really, the magic was just in all of this added stuff that we ended up keeping. After we did the Broadway show, we started doing the touring show, which didn't have the same kind of moolah, but you would never know because we were able to like really make things even more effective. We were able to, things that were even like, maybe this thing didn't kind of work on Broadway. Like we made things work, and the touring production is the best version of the show ever, without a doubt. Like it's got more blood, more effects, more everything, and it's touring. We really fine-tuned everything to a science. And so if there's a chance that you're got a chance to see the touring production, it's coming to your town. But here's the thing, Evil Dead's available for license, so there are productions of Evil Dead all over the place, especially around now, Halloween. So you can see it, and even in there's one in Oshawa, there's one in Kitchener, if you feel like seeing some Evil Dead and you live in Ontario, but it's all over the US. And again, we've been fortunate. The show is played in like Korea, and there's been productions in other countries, and it's been bonkers. So anyway, was that a tangent? I went on a tangent. I don't even know. What do you want to talk about?
I asked you about how the magic happened, but you led into like 5 other questions I was going to ask. So that was awesome.
Sorry. Can I answer the magic thing? I mean, I think it was the magic was really like the stage combat, like making, like, how do you make someone look like they're getting their head, like they're getting scalped, or how do you make it look like you're shooting them in the balls? How do you and it was all very, some of it's very low tech, but it was done with like great precision, and that's what sold things. But at the same time, we used really like cheesy like techniques, like doing shadow plays.
Right.
How do you cut off somebody's head? When you do a shadow play, you can bump into a wall and a scrim falls down, of course you'd have one there, you'd want a little privacy in your kitchen.
No, of course.
And then there's a shadow play in the kitchen, like, it's all cheeky and fun, but it plays. And then we play it so earnestly, that you're engaged, you're rooting for these guys. So I feel like that was the magic, with just the energy of the audience who is with you every step of the way. They're with you for all the laughs. They're there for the effects, bumps, the gore. And they get it. It's got a little bit of everything. Like, this is a show that has everything, including like F-bombs and dick jokes, but it also has like incredible choreo and stage combat and beautiful sets and effects and like performances and music, like beautiful music and funny music. It truly has it all. I feel like I'm attaboying myself right now, but
no, it's I would be attaboying you.
You're also selling
anyway.
It right now. Like, yeah, come on down. Come on, it's a great show.
No, so in the whole timeline, I wanted to ask, like,
Evil Dead musical. That's too many. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So where did Diesel Playhouse fit into this chronology? Because that's when I saw it the first time, and it was amazing. And it was everything that you were saying about like audience energy. And I saw one of the 11 o'clock shows. I think that was like the second one. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like it was scheduled so that they did 2 shows back to back.
Yeah.
And Yeah. So I saw, for whatever reason, I was like my first or second year in university and none of my friends wanted to go. So I went by myself, which is how I go to Disney World too. I've always been teacup for one. So I went by myself and was like, I'm kind of scared right now because horror plus really intense horror fans. Is this going to be fun? And then it was like one of the best theater going experiences of my life because of the audience, plus like the amazing show as well. But it was just this beautiful, to get pretentious again, energy exchange between audience and cast that happened. Like you always want that to be the case when you're seeing or involved in a show, but so rarely is it the case. And it can even be a thing that varies like night to night, but I was just there. And that's, I think, why I opted to go at 11, because I figured the more enthusiastic crowd would be there for the later show. And then I was right. And it was like being at Rocky Horror before I'd ever actually been to a production of Rocky Horror. So like when did that production fit into the timeline? Was that pre or post New York?
That was actually post New York. After New York closed, we went directly to Toronto, and then we played. It was kind of like 2 years, I want to say. We did a year, and then we closed down for a few months, and then we came back, because I think they had a commitment to another show. I don't think they think we would play that long, and there was another show that they had in the building that they had promised that they had to get in. And then we came back after and played for like another year. We're one of the longest running Canadian musicals ever.
Yeah, that's amazing.
We did pretty great. And then from that, we started the touring after that, after we did Toronto for a few years. But then it was weird because it was like we kind of do like a little mini sit down in Toronto, and then that show picks up and tours. And we've, the show's been all over the US and Canada, and it's been, really awesome. But the Diesel was kind of the perfect venue. It was the old Second City building. And when I say old, I mean it was the second one, because there was the original Firehouse, then there was this is Blue Jay Way, and then there was Mercer Street, which is the most recent. And now they're trying to move into another place. They're onto like their fourth potential.
But they're moving again right now?
Yeah, they're moving again. They're getting out of Mercer Street. So yeah. So this was the second spot, and so it was the old Second City, their main stage, and it was like a cabaret. It was only like 5 or 6 rows, but you had tables and chairs, and sat maybe 400 or 500 people. So it felt intimate, even though there was a lot of people in there. And here's the other thing: you could drink all show long. We would bring you booze, so people were having the bombest of times. And there was a bar in the lobby. Like, you would come into the show and you would wait by a bar. It wasn't like a little snack booth that had, like, it was a bar, a real bar. You could sit at the bar. There were tables. It was like a bar, and then go inside to the party and come out and have another party outside because the bar would be going. And so I felt bad for our actors, because they would, like, they're all professional. They would come in, they would do the show, and then they would feel obligated because they would get free beers at the bar after to hang out with the audience. The audience were like, every night was partying with the actors. So these poor actors were doing double duty. But yeah, man, the Diesel was really special because it was doing the New York show in my backyard. That Diesel run, I feel like all of Toronto saw that thing, and it opened a lot of doors for me and for the show to continue. And I left a bit of a legacy with this musical, because it was built right here in Toronto by Torontonians, and this show has, kind of played the globe. So yeah, that was like but no venue has ever topped the Diesel Playhouse, like, just as far as kind of intimacy, as far as just how the set works, like having the trap door in the floor. Like,
I was going to say the trap door in the floor was like one of the best parts. And that space was incredible for it.
Yeah. Once we started touring, we couldn't do that anymore. Like, we had to rejig the set. So the trap door was a part of the set, as opposed to actually having an actor in the trap door. Because every production we had done, we were just doing it in venues that had a trap door on the floor, and we were staging around where the trap door was. Right. And I remember when we did it on Broadway, they were like, okay, you get to cut the floor once. So where do you want
cut the floor?
Yeah. Because there's like, I mean, in Broadway, they like put weird things in the floor all the time.
True.
But if you're going to like cut a piece out and like make a trap door, you got to replace that like slab of deck. Right. So they're like, we're not We're not replacing 2 slabs of Dexter Bond. We're going to do it once because it costs a fortune. Where do you want it? Where do you want it to point? And I remember humming and hawing like, maybe a little bit more, like another inch. No, I don't know. It was the worst, right? The producers were like, don't mess this up, man. It costs a fortune. So yeah, when we were fortunate, like the Diesel Playhouse had one built and it was like perfectly positioned and it was great for the show. That was still because you can't just have to be accessible and engaging to, you know, for Ash to get in and kind of interact with Cheryl and still be close enough to the audience so that Cheryl can kind of goof around with the audience. So the Diesel was just perfect. And right in the heart of downtown Toronto, and what a like party kind of scene that was. And that was always the plan with George. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Frank Zappola, who co-composed this thing along with myself, and who, you know, we were just the dreamers who were like, let's just make a party every night. And so being in Toronto and seeing this party happening every night, and it really had become a party with this perfect venue, it was really astonishing. It was really cool. It was like, I hope it can always be like this. It can't. You know, you try your best. Like we tour the show, and we'll be in like some theater in like Washington State, like Wenatchee, Washington. So we get there and I'm like, all right, lobby, pump some tunes. Where's the beer? Like the tunes we're playing inside, you got to do it in the lobby. Everyone's very like, oh, you know, we don't, you know, we're very quiet out here. This is Wenatchee, you know, like all their little like theaters that service like these big areas of these different states. And I'm like, no, man, let's get the party going. Let's get some, you know, drinks going. Let's have a good time. So it's hard to kind of replicate that Diesel experience. We try to do it as much as we can, but the Diesel was really special. And, you know, just like my family could see it and my family could be like, what is this zombie thing you do? Like, oh, that's weird. Love you, son. So that was kind of cool too. But yeah, thanks. So thanks for coming, even by yourself. You couldn't bring a friend?
Well, like I think someone was supposed to come with me and then they all canceled.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know. No, I've seen it twice, and both times was by myself. But I know.
Well, now you can name drop me. Be like, I'm a friend of Bondo's.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
I might get comped now, you know.
Yes, please. Please. What was I going to ask? Oh, yeah. So with all the productions that have happened all over the world, like, have you seen one that you did not direct? And like, have you seen an Evil Dead that wasn't yours that you just got to enjoy as an audience member?
Okay, I've seen a couple, but I haven't really enjoyed many of them. I'll be honest. You
know, that was going to be my question. It was going to be like, what's it like? And have you ever seen something that you've enjoyed to the point of like either stealing or thinking, I wish I thought of that?
No, I would say, well, okay.
I like the honesty. No, that's fair.
Yeah, I'm being honest. Well, I've stolen one thing. There was a production in Korea in Seoul that ran for a while and won like the Korean Tony Award for best show or something.
Good.
Good. And so we saw it. I mean, it's hard to, you know, you're watching it, it's in Korean and I don't know what's happening. And they took some really weird things, but they did this one staging thing that was a transition between scenes that I was like, oh, that's really smart. And I totally lifted it. Don't tell them. Don't tell the Korean.
I won't.
One transition. I felt bad, but I was like, oh, that's like, I did it differently, but I stole the like root of the idea. I was like, oh, that's really smart. Why didn't I think of that? You know what? I'm doing the tour. Shh, won't tell anybody. Well, now everybody knows. But other than that, I'm seeing this show live. I've only seen a few of them. I saw Las Vegas because it played in the Strip in Las Vegas for 6 years. It played in like the V Street Theater, which was a part of the Hollywood, the Planet Hollywood resort.
Okay.
Which was kind of cool. And then I moved to like a little theater beside the MGM Grand later on. So I saw production there. I've seen a high school production and I've seen the Detroit production. Now the Detroit production is kind of, and a lot of these productions are doing that. They're like yearly jams, like Evil Dead comes back every Halloween, plays for a month or so. Detroit had done it for like 10 or 11 years in a row. Again, this is all pre-pandemic, so I can't, you know, I don't know if they did it now. There's a show in Baltimore that happens like it's like 6 or 7 years in a row. But Detroit I saw, and that was the first one that I wasn't like Whew, you know what I mean? Like the high school one, it's cute. You have a bunch of kids, like you can do no wrong. It's so great. Like instead of having like the cast of zombies where it's the people from their show, and there's like 7 or 8 zombies. There was like 40 zombies up there. They had like any kid who wanted to be up there was up there. It was great.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh yeah, it was great. That was definitely like sent my heart aflutter. But I've seen a couple productions and you're just like, oh, you don't get it. No, you're doing your own But hey, welcome to being a writer or a director, and people are going to interpret things differently, and you have to just kind of know that, and it might not be the way you interpreted it. And you'd be surprised that people like other people's interpretations, and that's fine too. The Vegas show was definitely different. It was definitely a different animal altogether. And I remember seeing that and being like, he's like, hey, you got any notes for me? And I'm like, boy, you really want to have this conversation, man? Why don't we just eat breakfast? Why don't we just go out to eat and hang out? And then I'll fly home, and that'll be that. And you won't talk about the show ever again. But I saw the Detroit show, and the Detroit show was probably the best version I had seen of it. But still, it was still a little, it still had, but in a positive way, it felt like a community show, but it was Detroit's show. It was cool. And it made their own choices that were fun and great in a cute little theater. And so, yeah, I have seen it. I feel like as I say this, I'm sounding more and more like a jerk. It's just hard
it's fair.
When you belabor something for so long and then other people do it and you don't have control. Maybe I'm a bit of a control nut, and I'm just like, oh, we didn't get that joke. You didn't know. No, it's okay. But listen, at the end of the day, people are putting on your work and they're doing their interpretation of it. And it's just an honor that people put on the show, that it's kind of stood the test of time. I can't believe it's still licenses to people still licensing the show like crazy. We're back now after no theater for a while. People are licensing and putting on productions of the show. And I love the show so much. It was the first thing I did. And it's so special. It's reached so many people, and it's amazing. You say Evil Dead the musical and people know it. And it's like, wow, that's bonkers. We came up with that at a goofy bar in Toronto, It's amazing that it's kind of had the legs that it's had. So we're really blessed. So if anybody puts it on, I'm not going to dump on it, even though I just kind of dumped on it. I should stop dumping on things. The Vegas show.
All 1,000 of my subscribers know now.
Yeah. You know what? The Las Vegas show, it was not what I thought it was going to be, but they were all so passionate about it, and they were having such a good time. And again, the audience, you look at the audience is having a blast. So it was like, man, it's infectious. People are having fun. This is great, but I'm not giving you notes. I'm walking away. I'm going to eat. I remember having breakfast with the producer, and he was like, what do you got for me? And I was like, let's eat this breakfast. And it was the best breakfast. One of the top 3 breakfasts I had ever had in my life. And I was way more interested in eating these red velvet pancakes.
What?
Yes. Than I was telling this guy the problems that I thought his show had and how he was at fault for most of them. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to eat pancakes. So I ate pancakes.
I'm glad you had those pancakes. That makes me happy for you.
But
I'm happy for him.
Yeah. You know what? If this producer over here, I really like that producer, and he worked really hard and did a great job. He was awesome. I would hire him now to work with me as my hype man. That's a kind of this guy could sell a show, man. Played for 6 years.
Yeah.
Incredible. What an accomplishment. I got to tip my hat to this dude. He was amazing.
I'll tip for you.
Thank you. Oh, you have a hat to tip?
I have a hat.
I'm in my new office, and I don't have, because I moved, right? So I still don't have any. I painted the wall blue, but I have nothing on it. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you need to get a hat. But what was I going to say? I was going to say, oh yeah, no, everything you're saying, I've yet to see a not Chris Bond directed Evil Dead the musical, and I want to, but also to me, it's one of those. I don't know how to say this without sounding like I'm praising you a lot, but I guess I kind of am. It's one of those shows in my mind that is kind of akin to Lion King or Phantom, where the production itself is equally important as the material as written. Mm-hmm. And so it's tough for me to imagine it not as I've seen it, as directed by Chris Bond. So yeah, that's yeah. So then my question to you, for anyone in perpetuity potentially watching this who might be doing the show, what would be your advice for actors or directors or anyone who is approaching the material that does not have the Chris Bond genius on hand in their production? Like, what is the key to making it work?
First of all, I'm sure they have their own genius. They probably have some
I'm sure they do.
Way better ideas. Well, I think that the key to making this thing work is fast pace and playing things real, like finding the moments that are earnest and playing them earnestly. And the show goes a long way. Like the material's the material. It's great. It's like, trust it. But it's all about just being true to it and being true to the film. And if you do that, you hit a home run, in my view, anyway. But well, man, they don't need my help. People don't need my help. People are doing a great job. They're putting on shows. It's amazing to connect with people because I don't see all the shows, but I hear from people who are like, oh, we're doing this show here and it's so good. And they're having such a great time, man. And then the audiences in these like smaller cities that are doing the show and the different licenses, I mean, they're having such a great time. It feels really cool when they're like, oh my God, whoa, you did, whoa, wow. That's cool. I'm like, yeah, man, you know what? We're just like you. We're just punky kids. We're just like punky kids who got lucky. And they have the same passion. And this show is one that's, again, it's got a youthful exuberance. So it's really palpable and it's really, it's definitely something that you get wrapped up in. So seeing people get excited and have fun doing Evil Dead, it's just fun. It's just fun. I get a charge out of it. So I don't even really care or worry about the show. You know, I mean, like, you're having a blast. It's great. It's your thing. Do your thing. And the check's got to clear. That too. You got to send us the money. Send the money. Send us the money. Yeah, there's that too.
I enjoyed that song. That was a good impromptu song.
Send us the money, Matthew. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
I owe you money, Matt. I gotta say, Matt Yipchuk. Let's talk about you for a minute.
Okay.
Because Matt, I started talking to Matt because I found out that he was a Disney file like me. And we had started the We Like Theme Parks podcast with my partners, Mark Andrada, who's also a very funny comedian, and Miriam Kenley, who is an amazing Disney fashionista and bounder from the beautiful state of Arizona. And we started making We Like Theme Parks. When I found out, Matt, you were into this Disney and we dragged Matt on the show, I couldn't get over how learned and how much you knew. I was like, wow, you're legit. Like, this guy knows Disney more than I do. No joke. And far more passionate. I'm not buying all those Funkos. No way.
Well, it just takes one, and then you're surrounded, as I am right now, by like 200.
And the fact that you're a solo tripper, like, I don't have the nerve to do that. Like, that takes like nerves of steel to be like, I'm just gonna go Disney by myself. Whatever.
It's fun. It's great.
Yeah. I'm learning from other people. They're like, that's the best. You should try it. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, you should try it. You should do it. Absolutely.
No, if I, you know what, if I ever did do that, I would find myself trying to find like, hey, who's down here? Let's look up. It's what I want to be, I think other people do that too. But anyway, I want to praise Matt for his Disney brains. We've had him on the show so many times. And not only have we had him on the show a bunch of times, but next week, if you want some more Matt Yipchuk, over at the We Like Theme Parks podcast or something called, I know it's supposed to be about Evil Dead, but
at the beginning, I was going to ask you to talk about your podcast, and then you didn't. We went straight to Evil Dead. So now's the time. Let's go.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, the We Like Theme Parks podcast is a Disney and Universal fun theme park podcast. We don't take things too seriously. It's more creative than anything. We play like funny trivia. We come up with new ideas for rides and shows and just like new stuff in the park. A little bit of, opinion-based things on some of the news, but we keep it light and fun. And we do crazy things and we do dumb stuff. And so something we do is called the Villains League, where we do kind of debate battles about, like, if Jafar and Maleficent were in a street fight, who would win, right? These are things people want to know, right? So we did it a year or so ago, and we're back with Villains League 2, and we've expanded it to 8 teams. And I was like, Matt, you want to do Villains League? And Matt's
do I ever?
Yeah, man. So next Tuesday when we record is our Villains League draft, where we are going to draft a team of Disney villains. And then after we do the draft and the next subsequent episodes, pardon me, I can't edit this. It's live. I'm so used to being
it is.
Now fixing my own screw up and then going back and making me sound perfect. So, well, basically, there'll be these matchups. So Matt will square off against somebody, maybe our own Miriam Kenley, in a battle, her team against Matt's team. And it's a debate battle. You have to explain why your villain would be the other villain and try to sway the judges. And anything goes. It's super fun. It's going to be a great event. And I'm so thrilled that Matt's going to do it with us.
Oh, I'm so thrilled to do it. I have my dream team already in my mind, and my backups are slowly making their way onto my list.
Well, I sent you today, I believe. I sent you.
Oh, I saw it.
Villains League listed. Were you like, okay, or you were already kind of like doing a mock or kind of game planning?
I already kind of knew. I solidified because my top choice for like my main villain, I can't remember the cute name that you gave the category, but like the A-list villains in the first one.
Magical meanies, demons, and other dead stuff.
That's the one. That's the one. Right. So I thought long and hard about it, and I know who my number one pick is, and it's not who I ever would have expected. Like, yeah, because I had to think logically. I had to think who would actually take out every other villain, and it's not my favorite villain, but it's the villain that would win everything because they're underestimated and they are probably the best Disney villain. I can't give away my tricks right now, though.
Okay, don't. I will say, if I try to remember who was the number one overall pick ever in the first Disney draft.
It was probably Maleficent.
It wasn't. I got Maleficent way later. It was, I want to say it was Shadow Man. It was
Facilier?
Yeah. And then I was like, that's a mistake. I think it's Hades, and Hades went second overall.
It's not. No, I thought about Hades, but Hades, he's the coolest, one of the coolest villains. He doesn't do that much. He's not very competent.
He's a god, man.
He's a god, except he's a god amongst other gods, which nullifies his godliness.
Oh, see, this is why you're perfect for the Villains League, Matt. You're like, no, man, let me tell you why this god is trash. This is why. This is what Villains League is all about, having discussions, having
it's going to be so good.
It's super fun. Like, I remember, and then you have really fun guests who come on the show and do the judging, and it's just, you never know what's going to happen. I remember I had, what was it? Okay, all right, here's a scenario. I had Syndrome, and Marty Adams had Claude Frollo. And this was in like the really mean humans division, right? And I'm like, Syndrome is going to smoke Claude Frollo. He's an old man. He's a priest. He doesn't even have a weapon, you know? And like, I got like a zillion robots that are just going to smash this guy. And Marty Adams somehow talked his way out of like, no, he's not going to fight you. He's going to talk to you and you're going to he's going to find out that you have like daddy issues, and he's going to extend a loving hand to you. And he's going to convince you that you need a father figure in your life, and you're going to put down your robots and you're going to follow him in the church, and you're going to become a man of the cloth. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm going to smoke you with a robot. And I lost. And I was like, you gotta be kidding. Anyway, you can tell I'm more passionate about this Disney stuff. I'm supposed to talk about evil.
Hey, I think it's very closely related. Passions are passions.
Yeah.
But no, that's kind of my train of thought, is trying to identify how they can affect other people, but then also, because last year I was like fantasy drafting on my own, and the team that I assembled was the perfect team in conjunction, but not individual, like not individualized. Right. And so when I was putting my team together, I thought, okay, if I have this person, then they can utilize this skill from this person, and then perfect team. But then I didn't understand how it worked, and I thought, oh, okay, that doesn't count. So now, my logic is, as a standalone, very much like the Claude Frollo mentality, who's the most powerful person to affect the change that they want against any adversary? And again, I have the best one.
Okay, well, I like it. I feel like there's a bit of a. I mean, I have an approach, and my approach is just, who am I going up against? Which one of my guys is going up against which one of your guys? And what is your like Achilles heel? And how does my character exploit that? You know, and then I got to be able to talk articulately about articulately. I can't even say articulately.
Articulately.
Thank you about it. So that's kind of the magic, but you don't know what that other person's going to throw back in your face.
Oh, no, it's true.
You also don't know how the judges are going to react. The judges might just be, jerks. They're like, nah, I don't think so. I think it's the other guy. And you're like, what? Like, that was my loss. So I lost to Marty Adams. I was like, how did I lose? This is impossible. I have this amazing team. Anybody else would say, but like, you have judges like Dale Boyer, who's just like, no, you lose. And I'm like, what? This is incredible. Welcome to Villains League. You know, it's full of heartbreak and evil stuff. So, but it's great. It's super fun, and we're thrilled to have you, Matt. And
I am so excited to do it. I can't wait.
so yeah, Evil Dead. Anything else?
Oh, right. I mean, it's a good show. I like it. Yeah, like what are the future plans? You gonna make a movie?
You know what? The truth is that we almost made a movie.
Like you actually almost made a movie? Like steps were made beyond just wouldn't that be cool? Like phone calls were made and
real things happen. Yeah, real things happen. Money was ready, and teams were being built. Storyboards were even drawn. Things were kind of moving, and then the thing with Evil Dead is that, and again, which we're so proud to be a part of. Again, this like iconic series, but it doesn't stop, man. Evil Dead doesn't stop. We've wanted to make a movie, but look, Sam Rami makes movies.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's ever wanted one of like an Evil Dead, the musical, the movie, to be out when they're kind of building something. They didn't want like two conflicting properties of the same thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know, first it was the remake, and they were like, no, it was back then when we had most of the hype to do the film, and we had the financing in place and things were moving. But then, you know, then this TV series, and then now like just the timing hasn't been right. And who knows if it'll ever happen, but there was some steps made and a lot of interest, and it was looking real. I remember we were building storyboards, and I was like, "This is happening." You know, I'm like, "Wow!"
Wow!
And then it didn't happen. It didn't happen.
Yeah, never say never. Like, do you think it would? Well, I don't know how to phrase this without sounding blunt. Do you think it would work as a movie? Because it's so much about like the audience energy for me.
Yeah, but if you can replicate that like they do in the Rocky Horror film, like you get that energy, right? Like I agree with you. It's about the people and it's about making a party. So I think if you can create that environment and make it fun and energize it, people will get the same feeling, and now you can take it away with you, right? So yeah, like I would love for it to happen one day, but right now, no, nothing. You know, the future for the show is hopefully we're getting back out on the road, and hopefully people will continue to license it and make their own amazing versions of Evil Dead in your town or a town nearby. Get in your car, come on down, you know, and that's it for the moment. I would love to do, for me, the next big step is I'd love to do an immersive Evil Dead. I'd love to do the musical in a kind of an immersive setting. We were kind of starting to walk down that path. Before the pandemic, and I'm not sure if that'll happen again, but that would be, in my heart, would be the next step, like the next iteration, like the next why. Like, what else could you do with this? What if you were in the cabin? You know what I mean?
If this was a year ago, I had a log cabin I could have gotten you so easily. Man. And actually, I even for the occasion, I have the moose from it.
Right what moose is this? Is this from Niagara Falls?
Yeah, this is the moose from my old dinner theater. He was going to be hanging up on the wall behind me for decor, but he fell, and he's really heavy, so I got rid of him.
Puppet? Can you op him?
He's not a puppet, but he is plush and could very easily become a puppet.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
That's so much fun.
Maybe that'll go on tour with us. You never know. We'd have
just give me a call. I got a moose puppet.
We'd have to like defluff him and make him a puppet, and then we'd have to put little red lights in his eyes so he'd get evil and stuff. And put hoses in his mouth. Put hoses in his mouth so he spits blood. Like our moose is messed.
The moose spit blood? I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's something. Again, we're always adding stuff. Like
that's awesome.
They're like, what if the moose like throws up blood? And like, anyway, this is a beautiful show, guys. I'm telling you, Broadway.
It is. It's gorgeous.
And a moose gets shot in the mouth, and he like bleeds out of his mouth, and all this blood comes in. It's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. Yeah. I mean, we're always adding new tricks and fun, and so that keeps the show fresh for me every time we do the show. It's like, oh, what can we do new? Let's mix up the stage combat. Let's try some fun stuff. How can we kill a zombie differently? How can we get more blood on the audience is really the big one. Like, how can we?
No, that's
priority to bleed on the audience, and because that's people pay top money for that ticket, and you want to make sure they have a great time. Yeah,
and they do. I sat in the seat next to where the splatter zone ended the second time I saw it, and was astounded at how not bloody I was. I was like, this is a production that knows what it's doing. That like and I took the risk on purpose. I was like, I'm sitting here and I was promised there would be no blood on me.
Yeah.
But this person has a poncho. What's going to happen? And somehow no blood.
You're lucky, man. But
Right.
We didn't do our job if you didn't get wet. You know what I mean? You didn't get blood on you. I remember going in New York and doing it and being like, I got to do this. And I went with the other co-director with Hinton Battle, who was the choreographer as well. And we went together and sat in the front row. And we got hammered with blood because they were aiming for us, right? They were like, suck it, you know, getting blood. It was super fun. It was really fun, but it was a really uncomfortable walk home. And, you know, walking down, you know, Times Square with like
covered in blood.
And like my shoes are making little blood footprints. And it's like,
I feel like no one gave you a second glance.
No, nobody cared. They were like, oh yeah, it's another.
They were lining up for Elmo.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yes. Brilliant. Well, before we wrap things up really quickly, can you like fan cast your dream Evil Dead the movie musical?
Oh wow.
Can you do it?
Can you help me? Let's do it.
Yes,
together.
absolutely. Let's go together. Okay. So I guess we have to start. Well, let's start from the bottom. Well, not the bottom, but like let's end with the most like poster-esque characters. We're going to end with Ash. She's last.
Okay.
So let's go from the bottom of the billing, which would be
Ed.
Ed.
Yeah. So, wow. So Ed has to be somebody who can be hilarious without saying too much, but still look a little bit heroic, like a little bit like a guy. You can't be like a weenie looking guy, in my view, if we're being true to the film. I think Bill Hader would be probably like the ultimate, like dude who doesn't have to open his mouth and just from his face, because Bill Hader makes the best like expressions with his face, just his eyes.
Yes,
big eyes and these big expressions. But he's still like you know, you take off his glasses and comb his hair. He's kind of hunky too. Like I'd buy him as a hero. You know what I mean?
I think Bill Hader's perfect. I think he walks the line of everything you were saying about being able to be authentic while still play the hamminess and the quirkiness.
Yeah.
So I think that's like, yeah, that's the secret ingredient.
Yeah.
Is grounding the comedy. So yeah. Okay, so Ed, yeah, I have nothing better than that. I was going to say the kid from High School Musical, the series, because I just want to put him in everything. The guy who plays Big Red. Yeah, because he's so talented, and he looks like one of the Eds that I saw in the production. And so in my head, like he fits the look, and he's a good musical theater performer. So, but also not as funny. So we have to go with Bill Hader.
Okay, no problem. So how about Jake? Jake. You know, can I like turn things on its ear a little bit?
Yeah.
You know who would be perfect? Would be Melissa McCarthy, if she could be as a kind of a backyard vehicle, with that energy, that frenetic, like physical energy that she has, like.
That would be amazing. Now, would you rewrite it? Would you like, okay, they're doing this in West Side Story, the remake, the Spielberg one, where they killed off Doc and they replaced him with Rita Moreno, who's playing his widow. So like the character still exists in the West Side universe, but he's dead. So then could Melissa McCarthy be Jake's wife and Jake is dead? Or would she just be Jake?
Well, she could be Bobby Joe.
Yeah.
Like, instead of Jake, you have Bobby Joe, and she's a big yokel. I mean, there's a way, if you know your film, because there's a character that we just make a joke about and kill off, kind of.
Right.
Just get rid of her, and so because we couldn't afford more actors. So maybe she's Bobby Joe. I think would be really cool, and we kind of throw Jake's character kind of away. But just like trailer park yokel to the max, but a big scaredy bear with a big wild energy and like looking out for themselves and self-preservation. And yeah, I think Melissa McCarthy would nail it, and it would just be great to have a crazy female, like wild energy. She's like
I love that.
Perfect. Yeah. So can you match that casting? What's up? You 0 for 2 so far?
I can't. Yes, I'm 0 for 2. I want to play the game, but I also don't want to bring something. I don't want to bring something to the table.
Oh man, I'm doing some cards. Get in here, man.
Yeah. Okay. So I need a Jake. Let's go with. Okay, you went kind of unconventional, so I want to go unconventional.
How long do we got here, man? Like, what's
Oh, I don't know. Like, let's put a cap. Let's say
It's okay.
3 minutes.
No, I got time for Matt Yipchuk.
Oh yeah,
Please.
thank you. And IU.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
well,
I got no Jakes. I got no Jakes.
no Jakes. Okay, well, let's keep going on. Maybe you'll find somebody else.
I
Maybe
will.
we'll finally get you in here. Let's talk about. Here's a character for you, Shelly.
Okay.
Shelly. Now, if you've seen our stage show, what we do is usually Annie and Shelly are played by the same actor, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. Are we splitting it for the
in
movie?
a movie, I think you split it.
Okay.
So Shelly's got to be like really fun, like sexy fun, big energy.
Oh, okay. Oh, see, I know I have someone in mind, but now
Yeah.
I don't know if I want her for Annie or because she would be like perfect in the dual roles.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but for the movie, you're right. We have to. No, I'm saving this one. I'm saving her for Annie. Yeah. Okay. So Shelly, I want to go with. Oh, okay. I thought of someone, but not for Shelly. I'm saving her for Cheryl. My Cheryl is so good.
Yeah.
Okay. No.
Yeah, I know my Cheryl. I think so. Who would be my? Who are we talking about again? I've already forgotten. Shelly.
Talking about Shelly. Yeah.
I'd probably get some like YouTube star, like someone to
me.
Yeah. I'd probably get like some person that young people will be like, oh yeah, like
JoJo Siwa from Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, someone like that, like a big name. Yeah, just somebody like big energy and fun. Like when we used to cast, I always used to say Suzanne Summers, but that just ages me, right? Just shows like, because
interesting.
It's not about like being like a sexy hot girl. It's about just being this big bright energy, like that warm, like a smidge vapid, but just warm and bubbly and fun. It's supposed to be fun and not
kind of. I'm thinking to the cast of Mean Girls, but now that's aging me. I'm a bit younger than you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So what's her name would be great.
Amanda Seyfried.
Yeah.
Rachel McAdams.
Yeah. She was great. Yeah. That's a great bit. I think we did that together, kind of.
Yeah,
right?
we did. Okay.
Okay. Let's keep going.
Cheryl.
Let's talk about Cheryl.
Okay.
My Cheryl would be Kate McKinnon, because I think she's just nuts and crazy, and I think she would play awkward as the sister so well. Like
that is perfect.
And then be crazy and like nuts as Cheryl. Could she sing the "Look Who's Evil Now"? I don't know. I'm not really taking
she's musical. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but Look Who's Evil Now is a toughie, man. You got some big notes. That was like a big James Brown number. I really like James Brown. I was like, I want to look at James Brown like, wow.
That number actually astounds me when I see it, like, again, watching the questionable legality version of the New York production, that any performer could sing and move that much in that amount of time is like, astonishing.
Yeah, this show is no joke. People go, oh, they're just going up there and telling, fart jokes and whatever. But man, the stage combat, all the dancing, it's not an easy sing. There's a couple of big notes and some big numbers, and you move, man. You're almost always on stage. First you're a person, now you're a zombie. Like there's a lot more physicality, and the blood fight is so precise. Like we've had people lose teeth. We've had people.
What?
Yeah, man, it happens, man.
Like actors lose teeth?
Well, yeah, man, you got a guy up there swinging a chainsaw around. Like,
true.
If someone makes a mistake, someone can get hurt.
Did they keep going with the show?
Yeah, I think it was our Ash chipped his own tooth on his chainsaw or something. It wasn't. Or people get, people have gotten. But again, look, we saw the show a gazillion times. No serious injuries, but the reason why is because we have really good fight captains and fight coordinators who, choreograph these like super precise stage combat and SFX bumps that we practice and we do a fight call. We practice right before every show every day, so people don't get hurt. That's the whole point. So it's it's not a show for every actor, man. Like we've had doing the Miriam's here. What's up, Miriam? Yeah. Wow, that was neat. We've had actors who come in and it's just like, no, this isn't for them. Like it's too much, because you need to be able to do a lot. But we vet them as best we can. Let's talk about Miriam for a second. Miriam, Who would you cast as Ash in the Evil Dead, the musical, the movie?
Yeah.
Uh,
Only we're not at Ash yet. I have
we're
to
not
give my
there, but
Cheryl.
think about it when we
Think
get
about
there.
it, yeah.
Type in it, but I feel like she's never seen it. Miriam hates scary stuff, so
No, but Miriam, it's not scary. It's funny. I hate scary too, but you'll enjoy this. It's hilarious. Plus, support your friend.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah.
Okay, so who were we? Were on?
We're on Cheryl, but I have to give my Cheryl.
Kate McKinnon. Who's
Kate McKinnon. So for all the same reasons, but different human, I'm going with Aquafina. So I think Aquafina is all the things, and she also just has like the rasp that I associate with zombie Cheryl or undead Cheryl. Yeah. And I think for all the same reasons we said Kate McKinnon, I go Aquafina.
Yeah. Okay, these are two great Cheryls.
Yeah.
Who are we missing here?
Scott.
Then Scott. I mean, listen, if he was younger, I mean, what's his name? Sean William Scott would be my Scott.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like Stifler himself would be, but yeah, he's a little old now, but you know, if we could still pull it off that he was young enough, he would be my guy for sure.
Like, who's the guy? Oh my gosh, wait, no, we're gonna backtrack. I just thought of who my Shelley is.
Oh, who is it?
Yeah, it's Chloe Fineman from SNL.
Okay, I don't know who that is, but
she's newer. She's been there, I think, 2 or 3 seasons now. She's the one that does really incredible impressions, and she usually does Timothy Chalamet. But yeah, she is hilarious, and she needs to be in everything, and she is Shelley. Sorry, because I was like,
as soon as this is done, I'll be YouTubing, man. And check
look her up. She's like one of the highlights right now of SNL. Well, after Bo and Yang. Oh, who can Bo and Yang be Ed? I just want Bo and Yang to be in it too.
They're in. They made it. Way to go.
Okay, good. But yeah, Scott. Like, who's the Sean William Scott of right now?
Ooh, I mean,
do we have one?
He's so offensive right now. So there's not a lot.
Yeah, true.
Bad timing for Stiflers right now. I don't know. Stifler's pretty good. You know what I mean? I think. Good luck, top Stifler. The character was molded in his image. Good luck. You can do it now. Anyway, well, let's move on while you think about it. Okay, yeah. Linda's the girl next door. She's beautiful. She's the perfect girlfriend. So kind. And then she's also so demonic. So demonic.
Later. Who's demonic?
Who would be good at that? Oh,
Dove can't. No, not Dove Cameron.
I would really like what's her name? I mean, I don't know. I kind of want to cast Emily Blunt in everything because she can do. I feel like she can do everything.
She's too old though.
She's too old, probably. I hate to say is that offensive? I don't want to say she's too old. She's lovely.
She is lovely, but
yeah. But the same vein as Sean William Scott. If we had like Emily Blunt, circa, a Devil Wears Prada. I mean, she's my girl. Like she could play that kind of one. Oh, you know who's great? What's her name? Remember movie Neighbors? No.
Rose Byrne.
Rose Byrne would be another good option. Get rid of the accent.
Okay. Oh no, and we know she could do the no accent. Actually, Rose Byrne can do pretty much anything.
Yeah, she's great. Rose Byrne.
See, I was gonna go because my go-to for musicals right now is Ariana DeBose, and so I feel like I would put her. I'd have her be my Linda.
Okay,
because I think she could do all the things. I think she could play both sides, like you were saying. Plus, I think Linda needs to be able to do very little and then at the same time just shock you with like pulling the full 180, which I think Ariana DeBose can do.
I like it. Yeah. So this is Ash now.
Yeah.
Miriam, jump in if you know
Ash.
it.
Oh no, wait, we didn't do Annie.
Oh, of course.
Of course. We have to do Annie.
Annie has to be, I mean, almost Emily Blunt is. I mean, we saw it in the Jungle Cruise essentially. There you go. It's Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt. Okay. No, and I feel like Annie can be Emily Blunt's age.
Yeah,
I think See, I would go
archaeologist, man. Like she's read she's got her master's degree. She's traveled the world.
Exactly. She's
dug in temples. I mean, this is legit.
The lamp next to me just moved. There. I think it might be the lamp just moved by itself.
Stuff is moving. People above you. Like I hear like people upstairs.
Right?
Like, dude. It's
Halloween. I've been listening to I was watching Evil Dead, so the words were said a lot from the book. Yeah, there it is. But my my Annie is Annalise Vanderpool from That's So Raven. She plays the friend. She is hilarious. She was and she would probably be a better Shelley, but she's a good enough actor that I think she would be like, she could hold it together as Annie. She is hilarious.
I don't know her, but I want to check it
No,
out.
you need to look her up too. I have all these people for you. Okay, now to Ash.
Yes. Okay, casting Ash. Hollywood coming for some Ash. It's a tough call because you need to have that swagger. You know what I mean? You also have to be able to kind of grow into that swagger. The magic of Ash in this show is he's not the alpha when the show starts. He becomes the alpha. And then by the end, he's the BSD, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So okay. So who would be like, I love me some like John Hamm.
Oh, okay.
I say John Hamm play it a little kind of like a little underneath first and not be so like so too much machismo. He would be interesting. Who else would be good? I can't believe I haven't put Jack Black in this movie yet because I like Jack Black in everything.
Oh, we didn't cast Jake.
Yeah, I did. Melissa
McCarthy.
Yeah,
Melissa McCarthy. Of course, I forgot that was the best one.
My backup.
Yeah.
I love Jack Black.
Jack Black could be Ash. Unconventional Ash.
That would be a very.
I'd buy it.
Ash. Yeah. Who else?
See, I feel like it's the obvious choice, but I think it works. I think it would work because I would normally scoff at this person being cast in a movie musical. I scoff at him being cast in most things, but I can't deny that he is talented, and I think he's right for this. I think he's right for the vibe, the look, and my pick would be Efron. Would be Zac Efron.
I don't think Zac Efron has the comedy.
You don't?
No, I'm not feeling Zac Efron.
I feel like he has some comedy in him that's just like untapped because he has to fit an image.
I'm not feeling it. Sorry, man.
No. Oh,
it's like
I was convinced that was the winner. That was it.
Executive producing on this, so I'm like, no, I will not authorize.
Okay, we're not giving it to Efron. I'm always in favor of Zac Efron not getting work. I always feel slightly competitive with Hollywood actors that were born the same year as me.
Yeah,
which Efron was, because I'm like, what did you do in the same amount of time that we've had?
Right. Okay, well, I have two options, and they're literally my two man crushes in Hollywood. Okay. Number one is Ryan Reynolds. Miriam knows this, by the way. She knows my man crushes. Ryan Reynolds is amazing. He's funny. He can play dramatic roles. He can be the tough, cool BSD, or he can also like play the smaller role. He can play he can play second fiddle. You know what I mean? The other guy would be James Marsden. I love me some James Marsden.
Oh, can James Marsden do like the gritty? Can he do
think so?
I just think of him as being so clean cut and princely and so good. I think James Marsden, good.
But that's the magic of him, right? Have you seen him in X-Men? He can get Cyclops.
Yeah. No, Cyclops is like the well-behaved. I only saw the first two, but Cyclops was like the boring one, the well-behaved, perfect boyfriend.
So are you not trusting in my casting choices as a director?
Oh, no, I am, of course. Obviously, I want to make sure that you're making the right informed choices. But if you say Ryan Reynolds, then I would upgrade my Zac Efron to Jake Gyllenhaal to be in a similar camp.
That would be an excellent choice. Does he give you enough machismo? I would have said no until I saw Spider-Man. He had some machismo as Mysterio for sure. But I'm really feeling James Marsden, and James Marsden can sing.
That's true. Okay? That's true.
Tony Collins. Everybody do it. Yeah. James Marsden.
Oh, wait. Miriam is voting for Chris Evans based on Knives Out.
Chris Evans is pretty great. He's funny. He's super dreamy. I wonder if he can sing, but
we weren't considering singing thus far.
He would be a better Scott, to be honest.
Chris Evans, too old now, though. He's too old.
No. But if we're laying off the age thing a little.
Oh, okay.
I think Chris Evans would be a much better Scott, but I like the pitch. Chris Evans should be in this.
She's also voted. I don't know who that is.
Jeffrey D. Morgan is Negan from like The Walking Dead. Right?
Okay. Oh,
yeah. So that's a pretty like rough and tumble guy. I would like to see that guy play Jake when he's all like,
yes,
and then he's like scared of everything. Like I'd like to see can he play the flip side of it. It's a ghost. It's my dad. It's a ghost dad, you know. Can you play that? You ever seen that movie, by the way?
Which movie? No.
Ghost Dad? Oh
no.
my god, it's an old Bill Cosby movie.
I can picture.
Are you allowed to say his name anymore? I don't think you are. He's like Voldemort.
You said you said both names.
I know. Look out. Okay.
Like next is going to be Macbeth.
Nothing's creaking in my house yet, so I'm okay.
No, it's just me. I just have the ghost. Okay, so then is that the movie? Have we cast it?
I think we've done a decent job.
So we have Bill Hader.
Yeah, we're making some offers to some agents. We're and if they jump in, then we'll start looking for more financing. So if you're interested, let us know. Yeah. Yeah. Were you just trying to recap? I can't remember.
Yeah, I wanted to recap. I want to get this cast together. So we have so we have Bill Hader, then Melissa McCarthy, and then who came next?
Oh my goodness, I don't remember.
Then for Shelley. Oh yeah, who was your Shelley?
Amanda Siegfried was our Shelley.
Oh, Seyfried. Amanda Seyfried. No, but I switched our Shelley to Cheryl Feynman. You just have to trust me on this one.
Okay.
Or not, yeah, whatever her name. Chloe Feynman, that one. SNL girl. Yeah. So that's good. Yeah.
I trust. Yes.
Good. And then Kate McKinnon. We'll go for Kate. For Cheryl. Aquafina's a good backup.
Yeah. We have a backup offer in case Kate passes, which she's been known to do. You know.
Yes, of course. She's busy rebooting more Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Oh no. How excited are you for the next Ghostbusters? PS.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too. Like it's like my wife and I are like, we have kids, we don't go out very much, but like Ghostbusters, the opening Ghostbusters is circled on the calendar, like, we're going. We don't care about our children. We're going to Ghostbusters. But my kids have seen the trailer now, like, we want to go to Ghostbusters. I'm like, you're gonna make a puddle, guys. You do not want to go to Ghostbusters.
You see it first, and then assess if they want to see, if like it's good for them, then you have an excuse to see it again.
Listen, my kids were a little bit scared from like Muppet Haunted Mansion. You know what I mean? Like,
we didn't even talk about Muppet Haunted Mansion, even though today was about Evil Dead. But we have to talk about Muppet Haunted Mansion eventually.
We should, and if you want to hear lots about it, you can check out the We Like Theme Parks podcast, where we talk all about it in our Muppets Haunted Mansion review with Mark Rosie Rosales from We Like Theme Parks, the Puppets.
You brought Rosie back?
Yeah, we brought Rosie back, man. Nice. We're talking about puppets. We had to bring him back.
Yeah, true.
So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and I didn't want to bug you because you're on Villains League the next week.
Yeah,
so
no, fair.
I want to be mindful of everyone's time. I don't want to
confuse,
you know.
And though, like, I'm always on board to talk about Muppets.
I know, and I'm always on board to help you out. And the one time I do, I'm late. So, yeah, what a guy, you know. Hey, Chris, can you do me this favor? Can you come on this thing? It'd be really nice. Yeah, man, I'll be there. Yeah. Are you gonna join us? It'd be great if you. Oh, well, yeah, man. Just I'll be there in like just give me a few minutes. You like
that was great.
Just give me a couple minutes. I'll click the link or whatever.
No, it put me into like the proper scared frame of mind that you want when you're talking about a horror musical.
Right? Oh yeah. You set this whole thing up. Is this guy coming? He's so Hollywood.
Exactly, right?
Yeah. I live Ajax, Ontario. Not exactly Hollywood.
It's the fancy part. So
yeah, it's the Hollywood of Eastern Ontario.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, man. I'm excited to get you back on the show. And we talked a lot of Muppets. That I was thinking of you. We were talking about the Muppets, and it turns out that we never even talked about it on the show. We ended up picking a lot of things on the show, like remember the episode we did with you, and we made guesses.
We were right on most of them.
Some of them came true. You want to talk about it right now on your show? I know it's Evil Dead. Hold on, I'm gonna bring up my file because I wrote it down. Hey, friends from Teacup for One, I know you're here to talk about Evil Dead, but we're gonna bring some Muppet Haunted Mansion.
Muppet Haunted Mansion, yeah.
You know what? Why not? Because with Matt, we decided we were gonna like pitch different ideas that were in the park, or we're going to be in the thing. And you know what? Some of them ended up being true.
Well, kind of between all of us, we sort of nailed it.
I wouldn't say we nailed it, but we did better than I thought we did, to be honest. Okay, here we go. So you can still see my face, right? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Do this. Yeah, okay,
From what I remember the main thing of my pitch, which I guess I was kind of wrong. I said that Gonzo was going to be a real estate agent who was scoping out the property so that he could
Right.
sell it.
Yeah.
All I really got right was that it was Gonzo based, which the trailers told me. So I really didn't actually get anything right. But
Yeah,
Miriam, I think, called Miss Piggy being Madame Leota.
She did. Oh no, it wasn't her. Here, I'll give you all the things that people got and
Okay.
who got. Yeah, you kind of struck out, buddy, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, I know.
Mark and Miriam both pitched the stretching portrait Muppets, which we saw. I pitched Gonzo going and not being afraid. I was like, it's Gonzo. He's going to go and he's not going to be afraid of anything. So I don't know. Do I get a point for that? Maybe.
Sure. Yeah.
It was Bondo that pitched Fozzie doing comedy for ghosts and dying on stage.
Okay.
And it was also Bondo who said that a Muppet would be in a trance and would have to marry Constance Hatchaway.
Did you say that?
I listened back to the show, man. And then I did pretty good here. I also said Rolf was going to be on the keys in the ballroom, which he was.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Miriam got Electric Mayhem hanging out with Leota, which was a pretty
That was it. Yeah.
Mark got Piggy as Leota. And Mark also got, which is incredible because it's so specific, the goof about Piggy complaining about her head being in a fishbowl. Mark actually kind of pitched that joke, which is pretty incredible. Anyway, that's not bad. We did okay, considering walking around. Yeah, we
wow.
Muppets. So that was pretty fun.
Although I still think the Muppet one that I pitched would have been just as good. But
it would have been good. But the reason why it wouldn't happen is because it's too close to the movie that was so unsuccessful.
That's true.
You can't do Haunted Mansion in real estate. It's like, we did it. It was bad.
Yeah. No, I think
it's funny. And I love Rizzo in there being like,
oh yeah,
look at all the toilets. How many toilets?
Well, I mostly just wanted the two of them. I wanted that Muppet Christmas Carol style, self-referential, self-awareness of them commenting on what was happening. But mostly what I wanted was I wasn't sold on the Muppets being the ghosts, which it ended up working and I liked it. But in theory, I would have preferred Muppets in the Haunted Mansion with the ghosts being themselves. So actual Madame Leota and not Piggy, and them interact, because I love those characters so much and I love the Muppets. I wanted to see the mashup instead of them playing them. But I like what we got. I was happy.
Well, that's just an interesting point. Yeah. I don't know. I was kind of expecting that's a very Muppety thing, is for them to assume the roles of celebrities of what. So you Pigs in Space. It's someone's Captain Kirk, but he's what was it, Link Hogthrob or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't surprised that Piggy was. I thought that was the right choice. I thought Piggy was going to be Constance Hatchaway, which I pitched, and it didn't happen.
I think that would have been too on the nose.
Maybe. Yeah, you're probably right. And I loved what they ended up doing. And I loved, but can we talk about Pepe the Prawn for a second? I mean,
always.
Pepe the Prawn has kind of unseated Rizzo.
I know.
And you know what? Miriam, it was who brought it up, who said the guy who did Rizzo doesn't work with the Henson people, or the puppeters. So that's kind of a big reason why Rizzo's kind of on the back burner now. I didn't know that, and it explains so much. Yeah, he totally was the guy. It was Rizzo. It was the Rizzo Gonzo show, and I love. Oh yeah, together. You want some figgy pudding? Yeah, let's do it. I love those guys together.
I prefer the Rizzo Gonzo pairing to the Rizzo Pepe. I like Pepe, but he's never replaced Rizzo in my heart. But now I feel like I have closure now that I know why there's no more Rizzo. Okay.
You can thank Miriam for that.
Thank you, Miriam.
And tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm
sure you're right.
Well, I don't know. Has Gonzo and Pepe been a twosome before? I think this is new.
I feel like it's happened before. I don't know where. Okay. In a Christmas special or something. Really? I think it was a thing.
Because Pepe has kind of stood on his own and been fine as a solo act. People love Pepe. Come on, the last was it Muppets Now, the super amazing game show? I mean, highlight of the whole thing. Okay.
What? No, Lifestyle with Miss Piggy was the highlight.
Oh, it was good too. But
with Linda Cardellini.
I like Linda Cardellini. I had a huge crush on Linda Cardellini. Oh my goodness.
In the Scooby-Doo days?
That's exactly when. Yeah, when she was Velma. Oh my good. When she was sexy Velma. Oh boy.
Oh right.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Evil Dead or?
Oh yeah. Feel like I think we've gotten all the evil and all the dead.
Yeah, we got it right.
There it
We
is.
got all the way to the Muppets and Sexy
And all the
Velma.
way to Muppets, Sexy Velma. We did it all.
I love it. I love it.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you, Chris Bond. Bondo Chris Bond. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. I mean, yeah, I'm so used to talking to you about Disney.
Buddy,
It's cool to talk to you about musicals.
I love hanging out with you. We can talk about anything you want. I mean, I'm a huge fan. Yeah, I really like you way more now that I know you like Disney stuff, and we can talk about Disney stuff. But we can talk musical theater anytime, man. Yeah, so it was just so great how I'd known that as an actor for so long, and then and this is just the magic of being a Disney fandom or being fandom of anything.
True.
You know, it's like, oh, I know Matt. Oh yeah, and Matt. Yeah, I know Bondo a little bit. Yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, you like Disney? Oh, you like Disney? Oh, you like Space Mountain? Oh, you go to the park sometime? Me too. You're like Muppets. We're about now we're homies. Now we're
it's true. It's the magic of Disney.
All you got to do is it's same thing happened with me and Mark Andrada. Like Mark and I were always like, hey, he's a great actor and comedian, and we did a little work together. And I was like, yeah. And then one day during we were working on a show, we were at a rehearsal, and I was like, I don't know how we started talking about like the theme parks, and then. Just best friends, just like that. I was like, I really like you a lot more now. Let's
No, Disney does that. I think it's because there's people who really understand Disney, I feel, also have a love and like pursue careers adjacent to theater and performance. Because I think it all roots to a love of really well done storytelling in one way or another. Yeah. And I feel like that's what it is. And then it just manifests itself as Disney. Because like that's just a fun thing that if you have a heart and a soul, you're gonna love. So yeah, that's why Disney theater people are a special brand of people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They certainly are, for sure. But I mean, listen, I'll be totally frank. The reason I got into musicals was the Disney Renaissance. Like as a kid, watching Aladdin, watching Beauty and the Beast. That was the gateway to musical theater, really, even though they were just musicals. But listening to that music, transitioning to like doing musicals in high school, getting interested in Broadway, to needing a job, to writing a campy horror musical. I mean, truthfully, it all started with like Little Mermaid. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Les poissons, les poissons. Oh, I was like, I love it. I'm in. Let's do this. And that's all it takes. So it's funny how, even though we're talking about Evil Dead today, there's the Disney stuff helped kind of get me there, to be honest, or just kind of set me out on a path. And maybe it did the same for you. I'm not sure. Like,
oh yeah, for sure. I think my first live performances that I saw were in a Disney park. Then that was the gateway. Like my first proper musical was Beauty and the Beast, Princess of Wales. Yeah. Actually, no, I think I saw like a crappy touring production of Grease a couple years before that, but that doesn't count. Yeah. But no, Princess of Wales, Beauty and the Beast, like that was it. It was the perfect culmination of like, I love Disney. And I also like watching people dress up as Disney characters and perform for me at the theme parks. But now this is all of those things like amplified tenfold.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. People up in Toronto, see, I'm older than you are. Is like, I feel like every kid saw Cats and Phantom and remember like the time when going to the theater in Toronto meant wearing a suit and going out for a nice dinner.
Yeah.
It was an event. It was a big event. And then, there was the Disney generation made it more casual and like approachable and more for young people to really get into it and less stuffy. And I think like Lion King and Beauty and the Beast did that, like had a big part of it, like made things a little bit more fun.
Definitely.
So yeah, anyway, I'm glad I saw it. I'm so much older than you are, Matt. Hey,
you saw Cats in Toronto the first time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember like I don't remember how old I was. I just remember the cat eyes at the beginning. And the eyes everywhere. And then I just remember Phantom. I just remember that chandelier.
I do remember Phantom was a thing, but it scared me. Like I was old enough to go to the theater when it was at the what was it called then? The Pantages. But the idea of a scary opera ghost scared me too much to like actually go. And I think family members offered us tickets, like my parents and I. They were like, Matthew likes music, he'll like this. And looking back, I have no regrets. It would have terrified me. I'm glad I didn't do it.
Well, he was a pretty romantic, spooky phantom, you know.
Oh yeah, you know.
I want to sing to you. So
He kind of gaslights a poor vulnerable girl, though.
well, I mean, it was the 80s, so
That's
does anybody care yet? We do now. Yeah.
He says organ music was ominous. 'Twas. Okay, we've made our way to Phantom and the Garth Drabinsky era of Toronto theater. So I feel like that's a good time to
wrap
them all up. All right.
Can I just like do a dump of promotions right now?
I was gonna say.
Were you going to segue to it? Okay,
I was.
I'll let you
okay, here we go. Oh wait, quick story. Miriam screamed when she saw Phantom and the music started. I would have been with you there, Miriam. And then the chandelier flies off the stage. So good. Okay, so typically when these things wrap up, I would say, okay, everyone. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Hey, look, Chris is the Phantom. There you go.
Speak to me, Miriam, with your enchanting eyes. Come onto my boat. And we'll float. I want to sing to you. Watch out for the chandelier. Ooh, yeah, good stuff.
I had to let that play out. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, so this is when I was
not even to stop it.
Please. No, I had to let it wrap up. So yeah, Chris, tell us where we can find you and what upcoming projects you have on those places and those platforms where we can find you.
I'm so glad you asked, Matt. Thanks so much.
Of course.
Well, you can find Miriam and myself along with the hilarious Mark Andrada.
So funny.
We Like Theme Parks podcast. We are everywhere you can get your podcasts. You can check out welikethemeparks.com and, Spotify, Apple Music, Google, the whole deal. We're there if you want fun Disney stuff. I know you're here to see Evil Dead or talk Evil Dead, but if you like Disney or you like Universal Studios or you like, the Marvel Cinematic, whatever, what have you, we're talking about that in the parks and fun stuff and playing ridiculous games, and you can find us there. Evil Dead the Musical, you can check out at evildeadthemusical.com. We talk about on the site, you can just get a little bit of whatever you want for Evil Dead, shows that are playing right now, future tours when they're being planned. You can find the information there. Any kind of little history of the show, past productions, pictures, the whole deal. evildeadthemusical.com. And what am I working on right now? I don't know. Nothing noteworthy. Nothing that I can advertise yet. Like I'm doing some stuff, developing some stuff. Go check out the podcast or go see Evil Dead. That's what I'll tell you to do. Do those things.
Good. Those are good things to do.
If you happen to live here, I'll throw out another one. If you happen to live in the US, if you happen to live in the great state of Florida, this spring, look out for a little show called Little Black Dress the Musical that's going to be coming back to Florida. And it's my Girls Night Out musical that I wrote with some friends that's going to be touring Florida. Just Florida.
Just Florida?
Like Florida and maybe a little Georgia. Yeah, like it's a just Florida, man. Like all over the villages and all over listen, it's the Girls Night Out musical that's actually funny. And we're going to be all through the great state of Florida. If you like funny, irreverent, female-focused, ferocious comedy, it's a show with some super talented females who are funny as heck. And they don't say heck, they say the other word. You know what I'm saying? So it's really fun. Check that out at littleblackdressthemusical.com. It's a super place to find information about that show coming in the spring. That's literally everything. I got nothing else going on.
That's a lot of stuff though that you have going on.
Yeah. So when I'm not writing irreverent, like horror musicals, I'm writing Girls Night Out. I really wanted to try something different. So I had some friends who were like, we have this idea for this Girls Night Out show. And I was like, I'm so in. I keep getting asked to do like zombie this and dead guy that. And it was like, yeah. Girls Night Out show. Yeah, I'm in. Yeah, let's do it. Only guy in the creative, just one dude and a bunch of amazing, talented women is super fun. But you can check that out. I can't believe I'm plugging this show, Little Black Dress, on here. It's great. Little Black Dress.
I like it.
Evil Dead the Musical, and welikethemeparks.com. Check them out.
Yes, all of the above.
Yep.
The only thing that I can advocate for, 2 of those 3 things, not having seen Little Black Dress, but I feel like based on Chris Bond's track record, it's definitely going to be hilarious and
Thanks, man.
enjoyable. Yeah. And I mean, I have nothing to plug for my channel aside from just keep watching my videos. And oh, wait, I'm directing a show in Niagara Falls. It's only one day. It's on November 13th. So if anyone watching this between now and November 13th wants to come see a show, please do.
Okay, Matt, for reals. I'm in Niagara Falls on the no joke. The like 6th and 7th. Is there like a tech run?
No. What? You're here on the 6th and the 7th?
I go taking my kids to Great Wolf Lodge. Lodge.
Oh, that's hilarious. No,
Yeah,
no tech run, but like I'm here. I'll stop by the lodge and meet you in person.
Sure. Come slip into the hot tub with me, buddy. We'll have a nice time. Yeah.
Deal. Awesome. Okay. And with that, everyone.
Yeah. All right. With that, you'll find us on our next live stream from the hot tub of Great Wolf Lodge. It's Bondo and Matt from Teacup for One. And we're going to talk all about hot tubs and Muppets in hot tubs. So don't miss us right here on Teacup for One for another wild adventure from the Great White North in the beautiful Niagara Falls in the hot tub. You want to be there. It's going to be bubbly. It's going to be fun. It's going to be
bubble fun. There we go.
Bubble fun. Be there. Yeah.
It's so counterintuitive for me to wrap up something with you and to not end with all the we like theme parks things. So let's just end with let's just end with us saying we like teacups in unison.
Ready?
Okay. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We like you and we like teacups. Say bye in the voice.
Oh, and the thing?
Yeah. Bye. There we go. Do. We like teacups. Do.
We like teacups.com.
If anyone watching this listens to the podcast, you'll get the joke. If you don't, you should listen to the podcast to get the joke. Thank you for joining us, everyone. My name is Matt. I have 2 degrees, and that's the Teacup for One. Ta-ta. How do I end this?